off the land, and sometimes it comes into a little bit of that luck factor. Will you find something good for Fatch? Seems like things are looking actually very good for him. Blue pump here, AR, white heals, blue heals. This is a perfect, well-rounded loadout, but again, sometimes it does beg the question, should you take a bigger drop spot with more risk involved so you can find your tags, get better loot, or do you just go for it? Looks like Pam was actually caught out of this trio on their rotate or their split.
Yeah, unfortunately, Pamstar is down, but yeah, I think it's interesting, and I like the way this trio has done it specifically, though. They have a lot of experience at Misty Meadows, but we're talking about, do you take the big PY? I mean, when that big PY is centered edgy commandment, I don't know, that is a very scary team, but what they have done is they figured out a route, and they figured out a drop spot that kind of draws into their experience of Misty Meadows by dropping very close. They've just dropped a little bit to the north, so they don't have to contest Centered's team. They get, you know, decent loot, enough to work with, but they know the rotates, because that's what it's going to be about, Monster. We're talking about loot, we're talking about all of that, but when Storm Surge comes into things, it's about your rotations. Where do you set up to get that initial Storm Surge? And if they're used to dropping Misty, and now they're dropping just north of the lake, everything is very similar. So I really like that. It's playing into the experience they've built without having to take a spawn fight against Centered. But Caddy Corner's looking a bit interesting. I feel like this was maybe a fight that's broken down, but no one's going to...
FNCS of NAEs anyways, so... What's up, Mohammed? What's up, Jeremy? So guys, it's a watch party for the FNCS. Like, it's the finals, so guys, I have to do a watch party for the FNCS finals. Like, guys, it's the biggest cup ever, guys. So we have to watch it, guys. Like, it's so. So guys, I hope you like it. I'm gonna drop a like on the stream, guys. I'm gonna do a V-Buck card giveaway, guys. I think we're gonna do a V-Buck card giveaway. I need at least 20 likes on this video, guys. I need 20 likes on this video, guys, to do a V-Buck card giveaway. So everyone, drop a like, ensure that you're subscribed, you turn on all notification bell, guys. Yeah, guys, if you wanna add me, my epic is logic_YT, so you can add me. And also, guys, I'm gonna use my creator code in the Fortnite item drop. That's logics_YT as well.
No matter how much he performs, drops the ego and looks to always improve. I cannot, say enough good things about Centered's work ethic. It really is on another level, but they've got 2 back-to-back second places. That makes them the most consistent team in NA East, but I know he's hungry for that win, and they do deserve it. I didn't pick them here today. I picked them last FNCS, but I would not be surprised to see them take it away. It's just they have been working so hard, but we'll see if they can put it all together. Game 1's looking fantastic for them, though.
Yeah, and I just want to give a shout out to Macwood, who finds Taz G in the feed there. That's a part of that Colosso Ved trio. Remember, they're being contested at Risky Reels up against DeQuented, Zemo, and Tetro, both of which I don't think we saw go down either. So these are the trios right here. This is the clash. It's like a melting pot of sorts. The Colosso area is all of a sudden really just a place you got to keep an eye out on, and you can see they rotate right into the new zone and they land at the Bony Burb. So now all of a sudden, again, all these teams that are just landing here that didn't have to move,
watch
a
lot of pros.
I'd say teams that are probably on the run from their contested drop spots now clashing on top of one another.
I've actually got a prediction here, Monster. I could be wrong on this one. I'm seeing very good loot from Zemo, DeQuented, and Tetro. And if they went up against Colosso at Risky Reels, I don't think they'd have this loadout. And if Colosso's team has gone down to Mackwoods, who we know makes a very aggressive push to Flopper Island, I think Colosso's changed strategies. I could be wrong. Those viewers at home, I'm not putting everything on the line on this one, but Colosso's team last week, week 3 of the qualifiers, they switched it up. They left their usual drop spot and went to the Flopper Island near Craggy Cliffs. They found success. They just clutched up the 6th place qualification, and unfortunately for them, one of their bigger issues, or one of their bigger, kind of saving graces last week was they didn't have to go up against Macwood at Craggy Cliffs, because that team always aggressively pushes Flopper Island. Might not have happened that way, but that's just my prediction and feeling as of right now. I know Colosso wants to have a good finals. He doesn't like going into spawn fights, but we'll have to see. Maybe game number 2 we'll get some eyes on it and see what happened. But either way, DeQuente's team has come out on top, whatever's happened.
Yeah, and listen, we're several minutes into the competition now, Ozzy, and we're only one man down. That is going to be TabsG, so it's just the pacing. Game 1, FNCS, pressure's on, right? It's who has the cool to keep the temperature down right now, because honestly, it's only going to get tougher from here, as now the rotate's going to come through. This even fighting the little dinosaur here, it's going to cause attention, it's going to grab in attention, and the teams that are rotating nearby, you never really know, so every interaction can drastically change your position in the tournament. You can see Tetra there looking for the shots. We talked about the attention, and now they have their eyes on them, and Tetra didn't realize they were so close. And that's what I mean. Little interactions like that, noise, information, pro players take advantage of.
And of course, it is the absolute competitive veterans, Dubs Mega, now paired with Rokane. And I think that was a bush play. They were waiting in the bush. You said it, Monster. The shots came out on the dinosaur, that flag that they knew someone was coming by very soon. And they're not going to engage on. They're not going to push it despite getting Zemo very low, because Dubs and Mega look like they're pretty good right now. They get their Storm Surge tags. They're going to be very, very happy. So good play by them. And now, unfortunately, they've got this team pinched here. They're on one side, as you see Macwood, Kanata, and Bucky rotating in. And this is going to be the story of their tournament. Can they get a few zones? They're a fantastic team. They play so well with fast south zones. Last finals, we did see a favoring to the south zones out of Craggy Cliffs. It's a tough one. But they're looking good, and they didn't actually get the finish onto TabsG's team, so they only got the Storm Surge. That means we haven't really lost anyone yet so far through fights, and they've got a good loadout for it, Monster.
I was trying to say, though, the brothers collide their sticks on who Fishy, both on Team Optimal Ambition. They actually took one another out there. I believe Sticks is the one who finds who Fishy. You know, just again, it's one of those things, man. There's no love lost here in the competitive stage. At the end of the day, these kind of engagements are going to happen. The clashes are going to go down. You just got to take it on the chin and hopefully bounce back. I don't see a team wipe, though. Again, these are all just trios. Changing shots with one another. You can see everyone's just trying to maintain the Storm Surge here in hopes that they are above. For Bucky, Macwood, and Kanata, I mean, we know they've gotten a knock so far, but what more have they gotten, right? They are, again, might be below. Let it kind of sit in there and update. There it is. It's going to go ahead and sit them right above. We thought they would be above because of those tags. These guys are very, very precise. Good marksmanship on the team. Kanata now leading to rotate out. It's Tahi and Gabe who are holding them down here with Sprite. And it seems like, again, that's another team that we need to look out for. Zone's favoring them.
And that's a tough rotate there as well. You would have thought, okay, I'm getting into the woods. I'm going to have that
so guys,
late rotate. We use the trees, and you show up, and they've all burned down. That's the way the trees work in the woods. They're all connected. If you set one alight, they're all going down, and then all the cover is gone. That is a definite, deliberate play by one of those teams that's already set up, like Gabe Tahi Sprite, to open up those sight lines to get their Storm Surge tag. There is no way that is a coincidence. All it takes is one gas can or one jar of Fireflies, and that is it. As Bucky, Kanata, and Macwood, they make the rotate. Again, you talked about their surge. They're looking all right. And with 8 minis on Bucky, they can take some tags. If they take some damage tags while rotating, they've got the utility. They just need to make sure they don't go down for it, because this is about to be a very, very congested edge. You get a pretty decent west favoring first zone, but then a pretty fast south pull. Everyone's going to be on this edge. This is the edge where everyone will be. And if you go down now, the third parties are going to be relentless. They will not let you get the pickup as Blake goes down to Dusky.
And this is an interesting decision for Bucky, Kanata, and Macwood to make here. They actually need the material pretty desperately. There's no trees out there. We talked about how it's kind of affected the game already. Bucky's going to really eat in. No, it's all that sinker spray there. It does end up catching him. Of course, you have to consider, right, the stress of things that are going down here. It can be hard to perform sometimes. But, okay, it looks like Kanata and Macwood are going to get the save here, though.
Is Kanata not down as well? I don't know. Okay, Bucky is definitely down here, and that was a full... It was. Kanata and Bucky both went down. 2 Storm and a Stink combined there. So again, whoever that was a great play by them. Bucky, Macwood, and Kanata have a really, really difficult rotate to make, and they've got Miro's team ahead of them. You know we have a stacked competition when we have hardly been talking about the ex-FNCS champions as well, who put a bit of a target on their back. I'm sure we'll get a chance to talk about that, Monster, which will be interesting. But I don't know if Macwood, Kanata, and Bucky are making out of this, Monster. Your pick right now. They've got the med kits, they've got the meds, but there's a lot of teams in front of them, and they are not in a good spot.
There's a lot of teams in the zone as well, though. Everyone now trying to slow down, take their time. Remember, they have to be careful who they rotate into. Everyone else is also going to equally be looking to push up on different kinds of teams here. And this is where that fire does start to clash. And you can only assume that right now, it is a tough game to play right now for these pro players, but the struggle to get to new zone, I'm hoping they will be able to pull it off here. You can see there's NAW players even next door here. I saw Felix, Pose, and Sparrow being one of the teams here in this area. I saw that Reverse 2K, Miro, and Day are also positioned just up above this as well. And look, Bucky goes down. Mikewood now just trying to struggle here to stay alive. He's going toe-to-toe against some. He's going to find some on the exchange here, and that's the tactical shotgun, the power of the tactical shotgun coming in full there, at least finding what he could. But no, although he finds Felix, he does go down to Reverse 2K. Even though they go and get the trades there, he does ultimately fall.
He does ultimately fall, and that's a really congested edge here. I mean, I have to go back now as well. I'm not entirely sure if that was a stinker only that took down Bucky there, so I'll give him a bit of credit. I'm not sure what happened there on that rotate, but things looking very rough for one of the favorites here today. Illis Blake already down Furious as a solo. He's got a high ground position. He's got a Pepper, which honestly is one of the best things you can have in the inventory right now as a solo. I hope he's got his Storm Surge on the board, because as a solo in trios right now with this many players alive, it is going to be rough. NA East played out as NA East always does. Started off real slow, real careful. No one wanted to make that big move or that big bang, but DJ Age's Skittles out of the Orchard from the far north zone have rotated really well, and I'm looking right now, it looks like we have lost Nobu Beef, Lupian, and Nick F, and them rotating out of retail without fighting didn't yield them anything. So I'm expecting game 2, they're probably going to play a bit more aggressive. I don't think they're happy with how that game 1 went. They don't want to leave this one to no fight. I think take the fight and see what you get.
I'll do some fashion show tomorrow.
And this is interesting. Miro hasn't even gotten to heal yet, and Reverse is already gone. He's taken off with the win here. He's not trying to trail behind at all. Gets in front. Now looking back at enemies, even those shots right there are going to force that team off that layer. And remember, Felix or Sparrow is also still alive. Somewhere lurking behind them. Does have to be careful. That's a solo. Those are the most dangerous ones. Tabney is going to find Aspect in the feed, so they're still up. Knifers Trio still up as well as he trades onto Kaz, and that means our Pleasant Park team has basically been eliminated from the competition, guys. But no, Reverse 2K, ex-FNCS champions, the biggest target on his back here. Can he perform after he has already virtually called out the entire competitive community? He has a lot to prove today to, I think everyone right now.
Yeah, Reverse 2K has been around for the longest time. A player who has been disrespected a little bit by the community, not really having his achievements taken into credit. And unfortunately, he's going to go down there. It's at the hands of the elite trio NAW, and they get a big tag on him. Miro and nearby as well. This is looking very, very rough. One team that I'm excited to see how they're doing here in this zone, though. I'm excited to see how Scope, Cease, and Tragics are going to fare with this one. They've changed their drop spot. They go on the Flush Factory and the Hydro Dam. This zone plays very, very much into their favor, and they're a team that's been jumping up a lot recently on the back of some insane performances by Scopes. I wonder how they're going to be able to play out game 1. Are they set up to poise to take the win? Because when they get a zone that favors them as a far, far south drop, they need to take it. So does Jack, Slacks, and Acorn. Scented Edgy Commandment. These are the big names where right now, coming out of Slurpee, they're looking fantastic. Again, we got the infantry rifle on Edgy right now. He's got the AR as well for a bit of a follow-up. The meta right now is it's very aim intense. If you're going to run an infantry rifle and a pump, you cannot miss a single shot. A lot of players opting to run that AR as well, just in case for some spray. They got 0 eliminations on the board, but they're looking really good on this rotate. And if you look at the map, they put themselves in a fantastic position. There is no one around them. If they get half, they're looking so good here.
And
I love this early commitment with the Peppers, early commitment with the movement. They're using it instead of losing it, not leaving any chance on the table here. And again, they are looking pretty strong as far as their overall material goes, but the ammunition is it's a bit worrisome, right? It's a bit troublesome here for them. They don't have much. They can't put pressure now. Yeah, look, barely any heals. That's that passive play. They've over-prioritized positioning. Now, all of a sudden, they're getting there. They're putting pressure, but they're not lagging behind to catch any refreshes. They're not sitting behind where there's a potential pickup for loot. And they're only a couple tags above the Surge. Even there, they just found the knock. Edgy just found the knock, but he's probably not going to be able to pick up Voyu's loot.
Well, I was going to say very low ground team. You've heard us say that a lot. The Scented Edgy Commandment are synonymous with the low ground. More than any team is on pretty much any region. That is their playstyle. The one advantage of that playstyle is an early elimination endgame and a full refresh. If you're on height, yes, you might be able to harpoon the loot. Yes, you might be able to drop down and grab a little bit of it. But if you eliminate a team on low ground or a player on low ground, you get to grab everything they have, ammunition, material. So they have a chance at this. And again, Monster has touched on it. Utilizing those peppers early, a lot of players will save those till the end game to try try to make a play for height. They have next to no desire to go for height. They play consistent low ground, but they get a complete opposite zone. They banked on getting it on top of them. They now have Jamper, Threats, and Rise right next to them on this rotate, which luckily for them is a very competitively experienced team. I hope they hit the rotate. No one goes too aggressive here because a lot of them have to make this, as I think we just saw Avery go down in the feed as well. So the big names are falling.
Yeah, and that was to the hands of Tahi there too. So
guys, we need at least 20 likes to do a VBO card giveaway. We need at least 20 likes, guys, to do a VBO card giveaway. As you can see, I pinned the amount in chat, guys, so we need at least 20 likes, guys.
Cold lobby.
If we get 50 likes on the stream, guys, I'll do a
managed to get in front though. They're rotating right alongside
Sprite,
Gabby, and Gabe and Tahi. My gosh, English is so hard right now. So I'm just trying to read and soak in all of these players
my code.
That's a good one. I like that. We've created a few ones over the years. It's always undeliverable. We'll run with them a little bit. It's Dom, Dusky, and Spade, a team we have not talked about at all so far, is in a big power position as well. This team, Dusky and Dom, obviously playing with Azervo last season. They've now picked up Spade, and both teams having great success. But Dusky, Dom, Spade looking so good on this position right now. Look at the loadout. It is night and day between the other teams we saw, like Centered Edgy Commandment, but someone's making a play for that opposite height on half, and they actually pull it over them. I'm not sure who that is, but that is an aggressive high play. I'm looking at your Jack Slacks Acorn of someone of that caliber on that level. No, it's Avery, Saf, and Stretch. When I see an aggressive high ground, how could I not instantly think of Saf and Stretch? They paired with Avery now. One of them got knocked, and they're still making the play for height, but I think they might be losing this one. But this is a team that will not give it up. They will sit on second height if they can. They're trying to take height right now, and Avery does not even have shield. That is the way they play, and they pulled zone as Sprite takes down Slacks. Everything's breaking down, Monster.
Yeah, everything is definitely starting to go south here for a bunch of the teams. This one included. They are out of material, guys. We've only seen the pitch from Avery here, but it is not looking too hot. Stretch, Saf, they have a reputation for taking home these first game victory royales, though. Early in the competition is usually where they really steam up their points. It's really where they start to position themselves up. When you look at the lobby from that wide shot, they are the only team even thinking about playing a mid-ground / height hold right here that wasn't given the half in, half out, right? Everyone else is down on the low ground. Everyone else is content with making it to the new zone, but not this team. This team wants to win.
And Dusky takes down Shades. This is looking so good if you're a Dusky, Dom, or Spade fan, because, yeah, they have the high ground and no one is poised to take it. Avery's team is the closest to taking it, and we're seeing Avery with 0 shield, 3 builds, and no spray weapon. Like, this is looking fantastic for the high ground team. They've only got 1 elimination, though. They have the material and they're above on Surge, but we know in this finals format, eliminations are worth a victory hour is worth 30. You can easily see someone jump up with the top 3 and more eliminations. So you're looking at teams like Centered Edgy Commandment that I imagine will either be going down soon or are going to start lining up the feed down below. But this high ground is being played to perfection right now.
Customs. We're doing both fashion show and scrims, guys.
Now they got 1 player at the back, making sure no one late takes it off them. There's no mobility in the game right now. If you want to get to height, you've got to build up to it. As Avery goes down, Stretch and Saf are still pushing forward. Commandment Centered Edgy, from when we saw them last, Monster, are looking so much better. This is what they do best. They're on the low ground, boots on the ground. They are ready to take someone out, get their refresh, and push through, as I think we're going to be seeing the end of Saf, Stretch, and Avery here in Game 1.
Yeah, but listen, Saf already has 4 elims. He's still in this, and again, almost a near top 10 performance there. Dusky ends up finishing off Stretch as well, as it is Day who is in the low ground. The 2-man team, they made it this far. Don't count them out. They're still racking up points and eliminations, guys. That is how you creep your way and sneak your way into that winning position for a day 1 performance. But hold up, Dusky, he's still going here. Now onto the elite trio. Crunchy goes down. Will they find Slim as well? Yes, they do. He is out of this competition. Skills and DJ still alive right now. Game, Tahi, and Sprite, they are still up as well. And I also see Sensei down low.
I will still be
Dusty gets dropped out now. I don't know if they have the material to fight this. Day is down below. You do not want to get dropped down when you've got Day down below with a big power shotgun. He has no shield. He has next to no health, but he is surging forward. 5 eliminations right now as a solo. I mean, if anyone could do it, it is Day. He's only got 8 builds, but he will get the refresh. He will find you somewhere in the mid ground. He has the builds. He goes on the outside. 75. Make that a potential 6, but no. He takes down Sprite, but Gabe and Tahi are there to back him up, and it's Mega, Dubs, and Rocade on the low ground. 4 teams, 10 players alive, and Mega goes down here. You are seeing a who's who of NA East, the best players in the world, just go in an all-out shotgun off. This is a firepower fight, and who is going to come out on top? You have to imagine it is high ground. It is high ground versus low ground. Commandment, Center, and Edgy. Monster, you coined it best. Down in the crypts, and it's Gabe and Tahi who managed to take high ground. We have seen this team play a single game this season. They got the victory out. There is no way this team is going to have a 100% win rate out of their drop uncontested. Wow. Gabe, Tahi, Spite, a 12 elimination win, Monster. Who is going to stop them at this point?
Listen, they are back, and they're back with good reason here. And again, a meteoric rise, a team that was counted out, a team that had the hardest struggle as far as, you know, the performance just to get here. Against all odds, and they have pulled it off. Remember, guys, they were the first team to rise up out of the reboot round. And you called it, Ozzy. You called it out very early, and now they're proving it. That's why now they've taken game number 1. So that's just the start, though, for the FNCS here.
That's just the start. I mean, that kind of consistency is unmatched. They've had such a storyline. Backing your own skill that much. We're not leaving. This is our drop spot. Make finals. And if we get it, we're going to win games. I mean, we'll have to see what the guys on the desk think, because what a game one. The big names showed up, but some of them fell early.
Absolutely. And this is what happens, right, when you have a who's who. 33 of the very best trios battling it out. And I gotta say, Gabe, Tahi, Sprite. I mean, we saw Sprite do the craziest thing we had seen just weeks ago, and now once again, like these guys are saying, to start game 1, to get a victory royale and 10 eliminations, okay, to hit double-digit elims right now, Vivid, especially when the competition is this intense, that in itself is a statement by itself. But then to pair that with the victory royale, I don't know. I'm a little worried about everybody else in the lobby.
Yeah, I love the storyline there. As Aussie was saying, the first time they've been uncontested, they come out victory royales both times. This is a trio to look out for, and hopefully they keep playing like that.
It really is. I mean, as you said, Zeke, the hype was so crazy last week in reboot round, and to see these guys going all the way as well, and finding a way to win this one again. Incredible to see. I mean, they drop at Sweaty Sands. That's where they're renowned for, and to this particular rotation and with this stacked lobby, they've done the business in game 1.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at some of the early game coming out of just game 1, because Vivid and Adam, they want to break down some stuff for us.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at right now at the center of the map here, and it's all about, for me, when it comes down to you know, game in particular, we talk about drop zones a lot, and whether you're going to be contested or uncontested. Now, NAE, what's surprising about the finals here is the majority of teams, it's a really sporadic map. Everyone's very kind of like placed here, there, and everywhere. There's not many contested sites, but the center of the map is pivotal. I think this is exactly where a lot of our teams are rotating out from. We saw there, obviously mentioned the Sweaty Sands for Gabe, Tahi, and Sprite, but there's other kind of contested areas. The likes of Stealthy Stronghold, the likes of, you know, we could talk about Retail Row as well. But that middle of the map, Vivid, that is where things are getting mighty saucy indeed.
Yeah, the middle of the map plays a huge part in the way the entire game
Mohammed?
plays out.
Okay,
The middle of the map is contested. Basically, what ended up happening is that those teams get held up, you know, fighting for that.
Yeah, guys, that's before, guys. If you really like want to get better
don't
at
have an
Fortnite, like you really want to be good, you need to like watch streams with pros and stuff like these tournaments. And so you got like watch them, adapt your techniques, and so guys.
And that's a huge thing to take into account, because that essentially leaves that team go to the top of that spire and just sit there the entire game, right? So all these teams on the edge, if that zone pulls to the south, every single team at the north side of the map has to cross past that middle line of the map. And usually, you know, the middle is a huge source of those rotations. So the team being there uncontested basically allows it
for you to get better at the game. You have to watch like pros
every
and
single
stuff.
team that tries to rotate by them.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, here are our first scores. I can't believe it. This is the very first scoreboard of finals. See, this is insane. Of course, 54 points, a great start to proceedings there. 12 eliminations, the victory royale of 30 placement points. But look at second, third, and fourth place, all tied at 36 points. Yes, it is super early in the game. Of course it is. However, look at their placement points. Higgledy-piggledy, 20, 22, 24, but Elims, 876. It is so close here. We saw, we touched on the Spire. We saw Acorn, Slacks, and Jack. We expected big things from them. Went down very early on, even still creeping in at 10th position there. Went down early on in and around the Spire, and we're seeing big teams, because there are so many of them. I mean, every single one of these teams is just either going to have a great one or a bad one, and it all depends on the day what happens with it. This is incredible. This is incredible
what did you buy with my code in the shop?
You said you bought something. How much these elimination points matter here. If you're paying attention there, in the 6th place slot, we saw Scented, Edgy, and Commandment there. They got second in that game. But they are in 6th place because they only got 2 eliminations. Sprite, Tahi, and Gabe have a 24-point lead over the team that placed just 1 placement below them because they had 10 more eliminations. Like, eliminations are huge.
They are, and I think what's really interesting to all of us as well is that we take finals. You presume that teams may be slightly more passive because they want to kind of get as high placement standings as possible, and they want to kind of wait till they get the eliminations at the end game. That's where they can kind of really sweep up the lobby. However, I think from the get-go there, right from the very start, we saw people were ready to engage. There was no kind of messing around, thinking, okay, I'm going to take my time here. It was this lobby these are the best players in the region. I have to go for this. We have to as a trio. And we're going for it. And I want to see more of that, because that's what's really exciting for us watching it. Absolutely brilliant stuff from game 1.
And I love that so much, right? Because that is a testament to how all of these trios are looking at the competition right now. This isn't a qualifier round. This isn't semifinals or reboot round. This is finals. This is make it or break it time. And so to even just look, if this was 2 weeks ago, right? We're looking at circle 3 and there's 90 players left in the circle. We're thinking to ourselves, how are we supposed to narrow this down? How are people supposed to fall? No one's engaging. That's not the case. Everyone is going head to head right now because they need these advantages. And for Gabe, Tahi, and Sprite, and I love Vivid that you guys kind of talked about Commandment, Edgy, and Scented coming in second. Yeah, that's typically awesome, but they only had 2 eliminations. A victory royale in 10. Even if they let's just say got 3rd and they got another 10 eliminations, that is literally going to just continue to gain momentum and snowball their performances. But that's enough from us for right now, because it's time to jump back into the action. Monster DFace and Aussie Antics are standing by. Let's get back into it.
Don't hold your breath, Zeke. This is going to be a long season. It's a long game, and the players got a very long day ahead of them. We're going to tune straight in, though, with Tahi, Gabe, and, of course, Sprite, our Game 1 winners. Aussie, they have now built up a ridiculous lead, almost 20 points now over the competition. It's only been a single round.
Yeah, that is impressive. When this team wins, they win with eliminations. They do it very big. They didn't get any zone there. That was a far south zone pool, very far from the beautiful beach, the sweaty sands. They went all the way to the swamps. They stayed mid-ground, then late took high ground. I talked about it. The only one is with builds. You can't use any mobility. We don't have shockwaves. We don't have riftigos. We don't have launch pads. If you want to get up to it, it is you and your builds. They shot it out and they took it. And that is an even more impressive sign of me as a team that is ready to perform. It's not like they got good luck. You can't try to say they got zone, they got high ground. That was a phenomenal performance and such a big statement. And that's what this team has done. They have made statements this season. A lot of people, again, when you go up against Clix, Bizzle, and Booga, which mind you is the only team inside the top 5 from last finals that aren't here today. So you dropped on a top tier team. When you drop on them, you better be able to back it up. And that's what they've done, as it looks like Nick FN, Lupian, and Nobu Beef trying to make a bit more of a statement here. They get 1 elimination, and it looks like they're backing out though.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about them rotating out so early with the early advantages that they just picked up, especially even with Beef here having this compact SMG to play off of. But you know what? It's going to be the decision they make because they want to continue to pull through. They want to continue to extend this game here. That's going to be their first taste of points as well, as it is just the early 2 that they earned. Remember, you have to break into top 24 in order to even earn placement points. That first 5 gets given out then, and then it's a top 17 jump up, which it makes this a very placement heavy format. Zeke was kind of alluding to the fact that Commandment, Sense, and Edgy didn't have much elims, but getting a second place, I think, in this format will play very well. It'll start to truly add up if you can continue to make these end games.
We've said high ground wins games, low grounds wins tournaments. It's consistency down there. Yes, Gabe, Tahi, and Sprite had a phenomenal performance, and I think they could continue to do so. All it's going to take is a team like Stretches to be a little bit more healthy. Maybe Jack Slacks, Acorn, Macwood's team in it who like to play for height. They play aggressively, and everything can go south very, very quickly. Yes, you can get the win, but you could also go down, you know, top 20 because you get cut out and you get a really aggressive fight push. Where low ground, if you play it consistently, is a lot easier. As Coop, Adam's team right now, Caddy Corners, this is a very, very underrated team. COD Genesis has been going here for seasons, playing with Colazo. We watched them last FNCS mods to get contested game after game, round after round. It was insane. So we're looking at a player with insane consistency here, a lot of experience. Pair that with Coop, who, you know, has had some of the biggest performances as a solo player, and Adams, who I genuinely think is one of the most underrated and up-and-coming IGLs and pros in NA East. This is a team that's looking pretty good, but they do have a team taking a fair bit of their loot right now by the looks of it.
Yeah, remember last we saw, we tuned in nice and early, and there was a bit of a clash, a bit of a skirmish back and forth between the two. You saw the loot wasn't quite perfect for any of them. On the other side, though, for Slacks, Jack, and Acorn, they don't have a single player in sight. They have this entire drop spot to themselves, which is criminally underrated, not only for what you get from here as a main POI, as one of the best points of interest in the game in general, but all the fish as well. If they really had enough time and they truly wanted to play into a bit more of a power loadout in exchange for maybe positioning or early tags and engagements, there's so much more to earn from here.
Yeah, and I know we've ran this statistic in the past, so I'm pretty comfortable to say it. Uncontested Slurpee has a higher average placement than any POI when it comes to FNCS. This is a winning POI, but again, we've got to kind of preface that. That also goes down because it's one of the best. It's usually the best teams that can claim it. When you know Jack Slacks and Acorn are dropping here, you're not quick to drop on them as well. So it's also coming down to the players that manage to drop here and take the loot for themselves as we get another zone that they're in. So things are looking really, really good for the champs. Last game, unfortunately, didn't go too much their way. 22 points is decent, but first place is already jumping up on a big lead. We've only lost one player so far, which we saw was out of retail. And I think what happened there, Monster, I think it's actually, I talked about how Nick FN's team might change up the strategy and kind of, you know, move their drop spot around. I actually think it was Niddle, Casca, and Smack split it up. I'm pretty sure one of them dropped on the house at retail, one of them dropped at the house towards Lazy Lake, and one of them dropped on the Spire. I think that's why Nick FN's team got the triple drop and got the elimination and then rotated, because the teammates were so spread out. I don't know how Casca's team thought that was going to work, but they're changing the strategy. They don't want to go into just a blow-for-blow slog match.
Yeah, they want to steal away as much loot as possible. If a team's willing to allow you to do it, you get a big advantage over them. You get a big advantage over the lobby in general. But if a team doesn't and they've capitalized, at that point, you're putting yourself at a big risk. The same way when we tuned in with Carrie, Pam Still, and Thatch there, they were down a member off the gate there because you do those wide splits. You spreading yourself out is very, very risky, especially when a team has already kind of caught wind of the strategy or catches you when they're flying on in themselves, because you know, the best of the best teams, they're constantly scouting for information. They're looking all around them. They're hyper aware of who is landing where and what they have to do at that point to be the best.
And we got our quick stat blinding. Gabe's trio also won game 1 of finals last season. They did. I forgot about that. This was the team that broke Zayt, Sap, and Stretch's record of the previous weeks. I think Zayt, Sap, and Stretch's team, I know at least 2 of the weeks they came out with a game 1 win. It could have been 3, but then Gabe, Tahi, and Sprite ruined that record in the finals. And that's what they do. They come out strong, and this team plays aggressive. They are confident. You guys may not have heard too much about them. I'm sure you have in recent weeks now, but they are making a big name for themselves. And that's what it's about. Even when the community and the other pros or players don't believe in you, you believe in yourself. And that's what happened with the Sweaty Sand Spy. They did not leave. They backed themselves. And remember, they made it into the reboot round by equaling 17th place. If they had 1 less point, this would all be over. So as much as we tell these stories of contested drop spots, some teams you're getting to see why. It's because they genuinely believe they can win when they do.
Yeah, definitely, and they've proven that already. But Acorn, Jack, and Slacks once again here, crossing paths now with Sensed, Edgy, and Commandment. The likes of 2 of the best teams this server has to offer right now. This entire region has to offer. And look, they're using that vehicle once again. Actually, that might just be a completely different team. Yes, they're going to open fire here. Every time they hear a vehicle go by, they definitely want to go ahead and take advantage of this. That's this virtually free tags here. Remember, you know, if you're inside the vehicle, you do leave yourself exposed. Ooh, Jack actually finds Stretch there. Okay, so that was Sab, Stretch, and Avery there on the move. And they're coming out of Lazy Lake, so no surprise that they end up crossing paths here again as well.
Logix_YT.
Yeah, we got to talk about consistency here because it's
As
something I
you
love
can see,
talking
guys,
about. Not just consistency of games, consistency of teammates and practice. Acorn, Slacks, and Jack. I was fortunate enough to be able to actually interview Jack. They have been playing together, Jack and Acorn, for the longest time when no one knew who either of them were. They saw potential in each other. They just went for players they work well with, and they have been practicing ever since. And that is why this team dominates not just trios, but everything. Jack and Acorn in duos. I know Jack, Slacks, and Acorn also popped off in the squad tournaments we had recently. Acorn and Jack have been placing in solos. They have been playing together, not just for seasons, for years now, since before trios was announced as the main game mode. And that's what we're seeing as a recipe for success. Talking about that, Dubs and Mega, one of the most iconic duos as well. A lot of people talking they've fallen off a little bit, but recently have had a massive surge back up. They didn't try to find new teammates when things didn't work. They stuck with what they know and they trusted each other. And that's the story of NAE East right now. A lot of consistent teams coming out on top when they've been playing together for years.
Yeah, definitely. And for Mega, Dubs, and Rokane, you know, you just love to root for a player like Mega. Mega's been here for so long, and you know, he's always tried his best. And even when he's not at his best, again, he keeps his head on his shoulders, keeps his mentality high, and he just has a really awesome attitude. And that's what Mega and Dubs really bring to this table, not just as players, but again, individuals here. But now let's see what can happen as Dubs gets a little bit of a punishment there for over peaking up top. Boney Burb is a great draw spot. It's a bit early to upgrade your weapons, and this is why they have these power pump shotguns. And for that might just be the deciding factor for this team. They're already up at the top of the standings. They're at 36 points. That is neck to neck with Dom, Dusky, and Spade there, who also have 36 points.
There's a lot of points right now on the board, and this is an interesting spot for we got Tabs Gen, which is obviously Tabs G, Colazo, and Ved. I have to think my earlier kind of prediction of what was happening has changed potentially. I don't know if they're still there. Maybe Colazo's team is actually staying at risk here. Maybe DeQuentin's team has gone somewhere else, because something has definitely happened here for both these teams to be making it away consistently, and we haven't had eyes on their fight. Loose not looking the best for TSM's new signing, Colazo, and this is a player and a pro that I know the community just can't help to root for. Older player, but streams everything, makes so much content. One of the most liked guys in the community. Pair that with Tabs G and the new up-and-coming Ved, and they are a fan favorite, but slow start to game one as Dusky, Dom, and Spade. We saw them on high ground game one. I really thought they were poised to take it away. Unfortunately, something went wrong. They're going up against Jaden, Nets, and Savage's team that I thought was going to be dropping it stealthy, but looks like maybe they're dropping at the castle even north, and this is an interesting one. Both these teams need this fight. If you're a far north team and you get zone, you cannot afford to lose this now. Jaden shots, Nets, and Savage. I mean, Savage has also got that big, legendary pump shotgun, so they've got the firepower. He's used up all the arrows he has in the stink bow, trying to get a few tags, trying to get a bit of damage on the board there. 2 med kits, so they're already still in zone, but if the next zone starts to move, they could still be able to play this one out. We see one with the piece, which is obviously Kanata going down. That could potentially be a disastrous game 2 here if the team follows, but maybe it was just a knock. I've only seen potentially Kanata go out here. Jaden shots and Nets still trying to figure out a way into this fight. They are 172 or 123 above. Sorry, jumped too soon there. But what's Dusky, Dom, and Spade working with? What do they have in their inventory right now to be able to pull this one off?
Yeah, this is their draw spot, so they've been here for quite some time, and like you mentioned, you have to win this fight. Otherwise, all the other teams are already gone, right? They rotate down, they go south, they look for action. So when the zone comes north, Craggy, or this draw spot in particular, is so hard to already play the Coral. And you can see, oh, the benefits of having this bow here. You get free tags if someone's sitting in the box peeking like that, and at least it's enough, right? It's something. It's better than nothing, as now they're only 93 damage above. Ozzy, the way the zone works right now, the way the Storm Surge works, that number's going to change. Like, they're probably not safe just yet.
No, 91 above is not enough to rest on. And even then, yeah, you might make it through this threshold. I mean, actually, no, 23 players have to go down. EU, we saw game 1 super aggressive. Everyone came out fighting. That was obviously due to a lot of the big teams getting contested. But NA East is playing out in true NA East fashion here. We have lost no teams right now, only 3 players. If you guys at home are confused on how Storm Surge works, very simply put, it's just a threshold you need to get above. Your team cannot be the team in the lobby to has done the least amount of damage if there's too many players alive. So when this zone closes, if it's above 70, which you're seeing that right, it's 93, 23 players have to go down. If you're the team with the least amount of damage, you're going to take ticks from Storm Surge until you either get the damage and go above or you're eliminated. It's just a feature put into the game to force these teams to be a bit more aggressive, to take fights, to do what Collazo, TabsG, and Vet have done to put themselves 500 above. You can't box up. Nobody wants to watch that. You've got to be active.
Yeah, this reminds me way back in the day when you used to watch the earliest types of NA East tournaments. It was like this, very stacked, very placement heavy, everyone's so passive. And then for some time, NA East was the most aggressive region. All of a sudden, they were just turning on the gas pedal. But hey, FNCS swings back around and you can see it's slow and steady. But is it going to be enough here for a team like Ved, Collazo, and Tabs? They may not need the tags, but the other team does. And desperate means desperate plays. And that team was desperate, and they get the wipe, and it works out for Zum, Stacky, and Hapt here.
No, and I was talking about some fan favorites. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be upset to see that one. Collazo, TabsG, and Vet had done everything right. 500 above, they had the loadout, and unfortunately, it's not them who needed the surge. It's the team that versed them, as we see Smacked go down here as well now. So the retail, and that's what it is. Storm Surge creates, and that's what it is. Storm Surge creates these fights. That is why all of a sudden everything's breaking down now. All those players who are sitting back waiting, oh, we'll take a fight soon, we'll get some tags soon. It's too late now. You have to get in. And me and Monster have always said this. If you're box fighting wrong, you haven't set up for the tags, you haven't done your plays properly, because this is a risky spot to be in. As Voiler's down here, Reverse 2K, Day and Miro know this, and they are getting in. And this is not the team you want to be jumping in on you in a 3v2. This is not a team I'd be wanting to verse in a 3v1 against any of them. Day and Miro are truly terrifying players in this situation. They have so much confidence. And again, maybe they break my storyline of if you're box fighting for Surge, you're doing something wrong, because these guys wanted an FNCS doing it. So maybe I need to kind of preface that some teams can make it work, but it just shows how truly impressive they are. But they're having to rotate now. Reverse 2K not looking too hot.
Interestingly enough, they didn't even need the surge there, Ozzy. Like, they were above it, but I guess they took advantage of all the chaos either way.
Why
they come
not?
out on top. Yeah, 3 elims here, and at least they have something to show for it. Reverse 2K, dangerously low though. They do have heals to play with, but he can't even sit behind to go ahead and heal up here. They just have to rotate. And honestly, luckily, there are other teams that have to rotate too. They're moving with the pack here, and that means that they all get to basically get in for free at the cost of whatever little material, but they can afford it, right? They can absolutely afford it. They just got the biggest refresher they've needed in the tournament right now.
Reliably get refreshes. It's a scary way to play your games, but it does work. And we were talking about it a little bit earlier as well. If you guys missed it, Reverse 2K recently made some content that really split the community up a little bit. And I feel like if someone is going to make a video talking about their honest opinions of different teams, Reverse 2K is one that's able to do it. My man has gone to World Cup. He won an FNCS, and he put a big target on his back, but that's what I love. You got to back it up now as well. When you say some other teams, you know, you think you're better than them, if they now beat you, it puts a lot of pressure on you, and you've got to be a special kind of player to want that extra pressure to motivate you. But it looks like that's what Reverse 2K wants to do. But when you've got Day and Miro backing you up and you are a player of that caliber, sometimes it's just a bit of a confidence boost. All right, you think you're better? Come show me that. Some people need the pressure, as we're seeing a lot of teams go down in the feed now, as we've now had 2 difficult zones, a far southwest and now a far northwest for these teams.
Yeah, this is actually going really west here. Both zones favoring this side. And oh no, look at this. Looks like Miro and Day have another opportunity now to get inside this base here. Reverse 2K as well, looking for the new angles. They're all starting to split up, but again, with that firepower brings more attention. Other teams looking in. Whatever this team is with the stinker bow, they have got their targets on Miro, Day, and Reverse here. They're continuously putting in these shots here, and they find another 2 already. They just had 4 on the rotate. Now they're up to 6. They're catching up. I don't see Tahi Game and Sprite in the feed. I'm seeing Miro, Day, and Reverse 2K making up that gap that looked like wasn't going to be closed. Not out of game 2.
And this is a scary spot of zone to be if you're any other team, right? This is the best spot of zone to be if you are Day, Miro, and Reverse. Yes, it's congested side. That's just more targets. That's just more opponents. That's more points. As the community says, that's more 50 pods. You get your siphon off those opponents. You get your math. This is big for this team because they are that confident at fighting right now. They've rotated all the way out of Dirty Dogs. You saw teams before, like Stretch's team, using the car to rotate south. They went out of Lazy. They went down behind around Misty and came up. No, Day, Miro, Reverse, they lineup. We don't care if you're between us and the zone. That's another target on your back. We will get our eliminations and we will get a refresh and keep pushing in. And that's exactly what they've done. They've created their own free path to the next zone. Gabe Tahi and Sprite are holding out some of these teams though. Jack Slacks and Acorn in, and it's currently Sticks, Jays, and Knifer in the position of power on high ground. But Threats, Rise, and Jamper are poised to take it from them if they get the next zone.
Yeah, and this is a team that lands right in this area. This is their backyard. This is their hometown. Usually when you get granted that first, second, third zone, now the fourth as well, you have to take advantage. These kind of games don't come very often. And when they do, this is your opportunity to go ahead and show people what you are made of. So now that they have the zone, they have their elim, they're above the surge. They can see everyone here on the map. And look, the congested side, very heavily on that eastern pack right there. And it is for good reason. It's because those players have to migrate closer and closer towards Sweaty Sands. Gabe Tahi and Sprite though, they're in the mix. They're out there. They're inside that congested pack. They did not stay here at their home turf of Sweaty. Instead, they went out looking for action, and that's why now you're going to see them inside some of these droning shots. You can see other teams still up right now though. DJ and HG in the centerpiece there, and so are the Elite Boys. It looks like Dubs, Mega, and Rokane hit a bit of a wall there though, as now it's only Dubs by himself here.
Yeah, Day, Miro, and Verse. I'm pretty sure it was Miro or Day. One of them got a knock in the nation, got capitalized on, so they've got even more points on the board as now we see Avery building up here. I think we may have had our answer of where half zoned went, and we do. If you see a team build up like that, even without the map shot, we know they got it as Tahi takes down Kaz, and this is a tough rotate now. I'm looking at that trio out in the water. I'm looking on that trio on the edge of Sweaty Sands. They banked on getting the good zone, and they didn't get it. Now they've got to rotate all the way back. Gabe Tahi and Sprite, they're not on the high ground just yet, but we've already seen what they can do when they late take it. But Stretch, Saf, and Avery, your kings of high ground. Game one, they forced it a little bit early. They used their material. They didn't have the meds. They had to drop off. Can Gabe, Tahi, and Sprite potentially take high ground here from the absolute kings? The issue is half is not a guaranteed high ground. They're in the middle of half. If it pulls back towards Sweaty, if it pulls towards that Spire, there's a potential for someone else to take it from them. This is not just theirs yet, but they need to make a big play. This team plays aggressively for height. When they get it, they need wins, because like I said, high ground wins games, low ground wins tournaments. So when you get height, you need to win as Tetro falls, and that could be 3 eliminations on the board now. So they're sitting very good right now, Monster.
Yeah, and that's actually going to fall into Gabe's hands there. So Avery did all that work, broke up the shields, but Gabe snatched it up before they can actually secure it here. And you can see now already Stretch and Saf actually branching out. This is a little bit different here. They're making it wider and stronger. They're really trying to secure this high ground here. And the fact that they're going for more distance means that they are definitely trying to contest it coming into zone 6. But Jays, Knifer, Sticks there. They want to do the same thing as well. That is why they're equally going eye to eye. They're looking the other high ground team in the face saying, hey, if it comes this way, we're fighting you for it. And that means Avery might just have to fight for it one more time. And it does go that way. But hold up. We need to pay attention, close attention here to Day, Miro, and Reverse, because they're still turning up right now. They haven't stopped since we tuned in with them in zone 3.
9 eliminations on the board, 34 players alive. You've got to remember, last game was a huge game from Gabe Tahi and Sprite. They got the 12 elimination win, but this team right now is only 3 eliminations behind that. They're on 63 points. They have jumped up massively in this game. They have the loadout. Can they keep pushing forward? They are a confidence team, and that's why I love to see what Reverse did recently, because it showed that he is feeling confident coming into this, as I think Day just got harpooned back. He's been harpooned by someone which is thrown off the rotate. This could throw off everything right now. He's trying to get back to him, but luckily for him, Miro's built an absolutely beautiful tarp here. I think it's Miro on the front side. Reverse and Miro often trade off the tarping. It is Miro doing a fantastic job here, showing his versatility as a player. Kind of blew up as a fragger, got most of our attention, right, Monster? But he has taken over big in more of that leadership and tarping role, which just shows how good of a player he is. They're going to keep pushing forward and jump down onto front side, but we know they're pretty soon going to run into a very big team down here, as also Gabe, Tahi, Sprite are trying to run up the low ground as well.
And Gabe, Tahi, and Spartan do is so good right now. They have 5 eliminations already, bringing them up to 80 points. So there is still a lot of room here to go ahead and play catch up. So our first place team doing so well, already breaking into top 10. What a great game for them, back to back already. A top 10 performance on its own is phenomenal considering they just took a win, but they want more. Can they find more? Into the tarp they go, and you know they're feeling the confidence here. They're feeling everything that's coming their way here, and they're looking for that refresher here. Sprite's trying to get inside side, and they are going to possibly find one right now. We'll get that question answered here as they're starting to shoot it up. Who is it going to be on the other side of the wall here? No one. Not just yet.
Ooh.
Aussie, they need something big right here because they're out of materials.
They need something big here if they're going to find it. They're going to try and keep searching for this one as well. There it is. There's a big tag on, and they're all going to go in. This team backs each other up. They don't even need to question it. There is no comms right now. Do we go? It is just go forward, get the eliminations. We need the materials. We need something. They have big points on the board. Unfortunately, we are going to lose Sprite in this one. It's going down to Gabe and Tahi. Sprite got them here last week. He's sitting back now. What can Gabe and Tahi do? Especially Tahi, because Gabe's not looking too good either, but Tahi is in the box, and he's getting the eliminations, but he's going to fall here. Stretch falls to Miro. There are big eliminations on the board. Edgy Commandment centered it down here with 5 eliminations. The consistency, but they're not doing enough. They're playing well. They need to play better right now. We've seen it. Day, Miro, and Reverse are lighting up the feed. Threats is still in this. Avery still in this. All the big names are here, but who's getting the big eliminations, Monster?
Yeah, definitely. But Slow and Steady can absolutely win the race here for Edgy. Commandment, too bad. Much better than their previous game. And Commandment already letting loose. You can see he's looking for the piece control. He tries to hop into someone, but it doesn't even matter as Edgy now is going to follow up here. And they find the tags, but it's not enough to get the elims. There's a team underneath, and it was Slacks trying to be super cheeky there. And that is a crucial elim. Critical for them now. Top 3 here, Ozzy, and we're coming into this. Miro's still in this game, though, too, right? The fraggers are still here.
Miro could pull something out of this as a solo. This is a 3v3v1. This is tough spot for Miro to be in, and he's running low on mats. Right now, Knifer's team needs to make Miro go down. He needs to make him fight because that's what's going to be their win condition. Can they use Miro to break up the low ground? Never mind. He has his eyes set on high ground. He jumps up, he puts down the pressure, and that could be what Centered, Commandment, and Edgy need. But this is a patient team. They've played this before. When you're a low ground team, you're used to being in this situation. You're on the low, they're on the high. But this is when Commandment is unleashed. This is when Commandment steps up big. Usually, can he do it here? He's got the health. Center's trying to break through too. It's a 3v2, and Edgy is the one who capitalizes, takes down Knifer. We're in a 3v1 low ground. I talked about they win tournaments, but it looks like they're gonna win games as well. That is an 8 elimination victory out for our low ground team, and what a big performance from them. They've got the consistency, but with the other team's eliminations enough, Monster. I saw multiple double digits here.
Yeah, not only that, the teams that were up at the top remained consistent. They managed to continue to find more points as well. So although they were down towards the bottom, some float up or maintain their way up. And this team here, Scented, Edge, and Commandment in particular, managed to jump their way up, catching up to the other teams. But still, 76 points. That's not enough, but it might just be good enough for that top 3. But for, what was it, a 2nd place and now a 1st place here, just rolling on through. We're going to send it over to Zeke and the boys, though, to break down that one because, again, we're watching that consistent come through, and it looks like Zeke's question was answered.
That's right, it was. You see, what was the last thing I said before we went? Is these guys, they placed 2nd with this 2 eliminations. That wasn't enough. They said, Zeke, listen, hold this slurp juice, okay? Give us a moment. Would you like 8 eliminations in the Victory Royale? Yes! I would, thank you. This is the consistency that we need. These are the plays that have to happen, especially if you want to be crowned FNCS Trios champions. This is the level you have to be operating at. Vivid, I love to see it.
Yeah, I love to see it too. Both game 1 and 2, Scented, Edge, and Commandment have ruled the low ground. They've had total control in the end game. The first game, a little bit unfortunate. They came up 2nd place, but they were against, a solidified high ground team. Game 2. Miro, I believe it was Miro, right? He makes a play on the high ground, actually gets one of them knocked. So that way, the high ground only has 2 players left, and the full trio on the low ground can go ahead and get that victory out. And they stayed together the whole time, and they ended up coming up with the win.
Yeah, Ozzy said it himself. He said these guys need to do more with around 10 teams left in the lobby, and they did exactly that. They came through with a 2nd place and now a 1st place as well. Eliminations to boot. I mean, this could not be a better start for these guys. We haven't seen them all season long. They automatically qualified, but man, oh man, what a start to proceedings.
And I gotta say, boys, the talk of the town coming out of game number 1 and 2 now feels like, to me, the top 3 from last season versus our reboot round winners, right? Gabe, Tahi, Sprite, this trio looking so good coming into all this.
Yeah, and the main idea here being is that we have Edgy and Scented here, quote-unquote champions of the previous season, automatically advanced to the finals here. And, they were one of the first trios to be solidified in the finals here. And then Tahi, Gabe, and Sprite, they basically took it all the way down to the wire. They took them into the reboot round to go ahead and solidify their spot in the finals. So it's almost like a champion versus a challenger mindset here. You know, why is Tahi, Sprite, and Gabe having such a good run when they were like one of the last ones to qualify against, you know, one of these teams that was first to qualify?
Yeah, it's completely wild to think. I mean, we can see Spegu here and Goku, who have qualified as well as in the reboot round as well. You know, these are challengers who qualified. You know, they got it by the skin of their teeth when you think about it in the reboot round in last weekend. So you compare them comparatively to some of our champions from last season, and you know, you saw the elimination feed as well. You saw Bucky's trio; they were getting eliminations on the board. We saw Acorn and Jackson and Sax haven't really necessarily done enough thus far. You know, there was always the question is always the team that got there. You can see them on board on the screen right now, but you see what the question is: the teams that automatically qualified last season haven't had as much game time in this season. However, you look at Commandment's trio, and they are a great example of, you know, proving anyone that thinks, oh, you know, this is a different season, completely wrong, because they are dominating right now. You know, they are finding their way. Yes, of course, I'm going to kind of champion Miro, you know, Miro's trio as well, because I picked them for in the qualifiers. But we said at the beginning, every single team is absolutely capable here of doing the business, and it's great to see these teams here. You can see them right here. Come on, these guys seem unstoppable right now. But let's look at the leaderboard. This is what it's all about: the points and the eliminations and the placing points. Gabe, Tahi, Sprite, our reboot round winners. The challengers are the ones sitting on top of the table right now with 50 placement points, 20 eliminations, and a victory route 90 points. Look at those top three teams there, kind of out in front with Day, Miro, Reverse 2K. We saw had a great amount of eliminations as well, 18 in total now with 45 placement points, sat there in second position with 81 points. And Commandment, Send Edgy, even though with a first and second position, they still haven't had enough eliminations, and Ozzy touched on it, as did MDF, about them getting more, as did you, Zeke, then getting more eliminations as we go forward as well. So that 76 will hopefully shoot up in game 3.
Yeah, hopefully they stick to their game plan right now, because they're playing extremely well. However, it can be a little bit demotivating, right? Like, you get and you're in third place on the leaderboard. Like, what's going on there? You know what I mean? They have to keep playing the way they are, because I just don't see Day, Miro, and Reverse, and then Tahi, Gabe, and Sprite keeping up the amount of elims that they are averaging right now throughout all 12 of these games. But I get that top 5 average placement, because that is what they are known for. So as long as they don't get like demoralized in their strategy and they stick to it, I guarantee you that my prediction, you know, obviously is going to end up being right, and they're going to take it home.
Is it? Is it though?
Oh man, well, let's not get crazy, right? We still have another 6 games today, but this is a very strong for a lot of these trios, especially for Gabe, Tahi, and Sprite, right? They did this last season, okay? They won their first game, and now, like you guys are saying, like, yeah, they're slamming these eliminations on the leaderboard, but the question is, can they keep that momentum going? Because now all these other trios, they're starting to wise up, right? They're like, listen, I know where you're coming from, and if I let that happen, you're just going to continue to walk away with the game. And so we have to see if some of these trios can kind of just claw at the top and say, all right, guys, look, this is just day 1, but we can't let you get away from us that easy, you know what I mean? So right now, it is an all-out brawl on the island, and we hope you guys are enjoying all the action. But it's time. It's game number 3 of the FNCS here in NAE. So we're kicking it back over to MDF and Aussie Antics for the next game.
The competition is growing stronger and stronger, because what all these top 10 teams have in common is the fact that they have all gotten high placement points, but most importantly, consistent eliminations. Up at the top, it's a scary amount of consistent eliminations. We're talking 2 teams now breaking into the double digits here, Aussie, and that means that, again, the bar, the standard set very, very high. This is hard for any team to honestly tackle and maintain.
It is, but that means it puts the pressure on them as well. All it's going to take is Gabe, Tahi, and Sprite to fall a little bit short, Day, Miro, Reverse, and then Commandment, Center, Edgy could strike as well. They are playing so consistent right now. A first place and a second place in the first 2 games. We truly do have the battle of eliminations versus placement right now. Again, obviously Gabe, Tahi, Sprite, and Day's team are doing really, really well on placement too, but Centered, Edgy, Commandment, this team is just so consistent, as it looks like Retail Row has finally broken down into the fight we were expecting, Monster. I think Cass could take down all 3 of Nobu Beast team. So I don't know if that's the case. Maybe it was just 2, but looks like everyone's kind of spicing it up a little bit more. NA East has been very, very slow. I think they're going to have to start picking up the pace as we get our quick stats. Since Chapter 2, Season 4, Edgy's trio has the most low ground limbs in NA East, and that is no surprise to anyone who's been watching this game. That is where they live. But I think what's truly so impressive, Monster, not just their consistency to get to that top 3 end game, it's to win games. You almost never see teams win games from low ground. Centered Edgy Commandment win them more often than not when they get to that final 2.
Yeah, that's the thing. They picked up an elimination or a victory royale in the last season as well, so they came in with a win too. It's not like they're up there placing high, taking these second places, just falling short of taking home the entire crown without a victory royale, like we saw once before from Reverse 2K, Miro, and Day. Remember, they won an FNCS without a single victory royale when they took home the crown there, and that was just off of their aggressiveness, consistency. But Daymare and Versus 2K have also proven and shown that that is a very viable strategy. Pop off, continue to pop off, and you will make enough points, and you can sometimes best the rest of the competition. For Niddle, Smacked, and Casker, it looks like they tried to land all on Casker once again here this time, but he beat them to a weapon. I'm assuming that's how he got the full team wet.
I mean, 3 eliminations on the bat, that's one way to do it. I mean, Casca has been around for the looking down a full trio by yourself. Again, there could have been some assistance from the teammates, but that is massive right now. This is going to be... Oh, apparently it looks like maybe that was the answer there. I'm pretty sure it was. It looks like they went for the triple pickaxe. I think Monster hit the nail on the head perfectly there. Casca, maybe that legendary tac shotgun. That's the gun to get when you're getting triple pickaxe. I mean, that always feels good. That is a weapon that can potentially do it. But that is tragically unfortunate for Nobu Beast team because, man, you got to think, okay, he's only got a chance at 1 gun here. He's going to get a bow. He's going to get a primal pistol. And he got a legendary tac shotgun. That is not what you want.
Oh no, it's kind of I don't know, it's comedy, right? It's funny.
Yeah,
you know, because what are the odds, right? What are the odds that this guy's gonna land on a legendary tactical shotgun, and that's just kind of your luck of the day. But for Macwood, Bucky, and Kanata, I hope their luck's a little better because Leo, Sully, and 20 look like they are hitting their shots right now, and they do have some weapons. I also hear another power attack shotgun on the other side of the wall, and it seems like it is going to be their team who wins it out here, and that's that quick rotate you talked about from Bucky to follow the coast here and get on trios, and this time it's going to be 20.
But this is looking scary. I was about to say, I would be so surprised to see 20's team win this, and that is absolutely no disrespect to them, but they are going up against one of the best fighting teams in the world. But another player lurking around the edges. I don't think it's a full team, but that could spice things up here as it looks like Kanata, Macwood, and Bucky are going to maybe drop out a little bit here as Jaden Shots, Nets, and Savage. It is a full trio show up to this engagement as well. This will put it on the line right now. Kanata, Macwood, and Bucky, you are 3 of the best fighters in the world. Are you good enough to potentially take on 2 trios at the same time? We talked about the power shotgun. They come out of Craggy Cliffs. They do have the upgrade NPC there, which gives them a lot of firepower early on. And this is how this team gets their surge and gets their points. They are one of the best teams at dealing with opposite south zones out of Craggy, and it's because they're confident enough to take these fights. And it looks like they might try and disengage. You guys can take this fight. You guys can get the scraps. We got our 1 elimination. We got our surge. We're happy to leave with that. And this is why they are so good. Being the best fighters in the world, but knowing when you've already won the fight and you don't need to push the limits any further.
And the best part about that, Elam, there is that secures their surge, that entire fight. It was a long, drawn-out one, back and forth. You can see it dug deep into their heels as well. So this is going to work out for them in the long run. And let's just not forget, I was going to say, there's probably more loot here considering how quickly they moved on out of their drop spot. Oh, no, but Bucky takes a body shot there from the bow. It looks like the Stinker bow itself was a full-on connect, plus the damage on top of that. So pretty rough one to take right now after you just found some extra minis here. So it's kind of a big setback, if you will. But at least they do manage to see another day. And again, this is a team that had a terrible game 1, right? Just a number of unfortunate circumstances really stacked against them. But that second game was great. It jumps them back up into 13th. They're very much in this competition again.
Yeah, and they do have the advantage of Craggy. If they rotated out early, it means they haven't used all of the utility of Craggy, and that fight was not a coincidence. They have zone right now. As Adams, I talked about being one of the most in NA East, one of those leaders. If you don't follow the terminology of competitive Fortnite, IGL just stands for in-game leader. It's the player that's designated on that team with, making decisions. How do we rotate? Where do we go? Where do we drop? but usually they leave it to their fraggers like Coop and COD Genesis when it comes to the fights. But when it's NA East, when it's the best of the best, you've got to be able to do it all. And can Adams back it up in the fight? He has 0 builds. He has a gray makeshift shotgun. He needs to improve here right now. And COD Genesis is up with him as well. He drops some builds, but this is a fight that there's truly going to be no winner from, Monster. If they win the fight, yes, that's great. It's a bit of a confidence boost. You get a few points on the board, but with Zone going very, very far north, all the way to Craggy, you cannot be taking a fight at Weather Station and expecting to win the game.
Yeah, no, this is looking repetitive. This is why out of game number 1, we saw they were a bit lit up, but Adams here is going to at least find the tags when he needs it. But can he find the rest now? He's going to need all the Siphon and more to stay alive. It's not going to be enough. 21 points for early game fights. They were doing very good for themselves, all things considering. Remember, guys, this is a 2-day tournament. Ladies and gentlemen, they have all of today to play their 6 games and all of tomorrow. So if you're like in the middle of the pack, a couple pop-offs and all of a sudden you're back up in it. You can run this back for the 2nd day. Same for a team like this, right? Teo, Chimp, Tabney in 15th place. They're doing really good, right? They're doing okay.
They've been making a big name for themselves. I was really happy as well. This is one of the teams Reverse 2K put a little bit of a target on, but it was really good to see the community. Again, you've been gassing them for multiple seasons now, Monster. It was good to see the community be like, hey, this is Teo, Chimp, and Tabney, all right? They are up-and-comers. They are popping off right now, and I think they're starting to break out of that kind of, that shackle of being underrated. I think people are starting to pay attention to them. 28 points on the board. They're looking good. They're rotating out of Weeping. So far, they've got, a few decent zones. Nothing too bad. Some things come unstuck, and maybe it's this mid-ground rotate as we're getting a nice little thank you, Obs team. We're getting to see how the Weather Station fight broke down. We saw them win it, but it looks like they get the reboot off as well, but they're deep, Monster. I don't know. Like, I respect it. The team play, that's awesome. Get the teammate up, but you might just be all going down together.
Yeah, definitely. Anything can happen at that point, though. There's plenty to work for as they have to make their way in for Chimp and crew. It's just about finding tags here. Can Chimp actually find a headshot on a player? That'd be great here to just set themselves up for their surge coming into the later portions of the game. And if you guys don't know much about Chimp, Teo, Tabney, these guys have been playing with one another for quite some time, all of which are phenomenal, exceptional solo players as well. I think that's really what stands out this trio as individuals. But Chimp, if I had to choose a player on this team, I'm choosing Chimp on this team as one who just, again, he's an exceptional controller player, and he is like, reminiscent of the days and mirrors when I spotted them early on. It was just, they're just better, right? And they know how to hit those shots and honestly keep up mechanically with everyone else. And if you got all those things in your own controller, more power to you, because those are the guys that after a while, they just break away and they never look back.
It's the confidence. And when you talk about Day and Mirror and you talk about insane control players, it's the confidence. They jump in knowing they're going to hit their shots. It's like the Wavy Jacobs. It's like the Reeds. It's why they get so popular as well. It's just such a fun way to play. Like, obviously, a lot of the players here today, and almost all of them are top tier. They are phenomenal players, the best of the best. But some of them just do it in a flashier, more fun style, right? And that's the people you like to cheer for. So I'm excited to see if we can show it off on the broadcast here. If they can jump up and make that big name for themselves, as we see Stretch, Saf, and Avery, a team that don't need to make names for themselves, and we've seen them today, haven't done anything too flashy, but they're doing things well. They're on 53 points right now. They are looking fantastic. They're based up outside of second zone when they could rotate more center. What that means is this team needs Storm Surge right now. If you're an avid Fortnite player at home, if you're like watching the broadcast, studying some of the strategies, they're set up here because they want to get their Storm Surge. If you already have Storm Surge and you're playing in a set lobby, you are going center of second zone, so you can then try to pull third zone. That is the way you want to do it. So if you ever see a team like this, it's because they want that. But at the same time, we see Stretch off to the side. They are splitting wide. They're trying to get as much surge as they can, but they're trying to control this area. They want to make sure that no one rotates ahead of them. So now you've got Stretch breaking off, going more north, and getting them a base in zone here. This is why they are the smartest and some of the best players in the world. And this is what we talk about a lot. Stretch, Saf, and obviously usually paired with Zayt. Now with Avery, they have these strategies. They just think about the game on a different level.
Yeah, they take risk, right? And again, moving early gives them the freedom to do these kind of setups, these different types of setup that other teams aren't doing. And honestly, if anything, they're just pioneers to the point to where other teams like to pick up their play styles. We saw a lot of their strategies actually being mirrored from a team like Felix, Pose, and Sparebro coming out of the qualifying weeks, and they managed to do it. They actually managed to pull a top 3 or semis win there, and it was enough. It was enough for them to go in and pull on through, and now we see them here in this final stage. But there can only be one Stretch, Saf, and Avery. There can only be one team that does it and does it right. like the rest can try to become, and it is this trio here. They have already shown, again, played that hand multiple times, and they do it better than everyone else.
And this prize pool, we haven't even talked about it yet, Monster. This prize pool puts the pressure on $690,000 total. And that's just for NA East. That's not every region. That's what these 33 teams are playing for. You look at first, $150,000. Second, $105,000. And then third, $69,000. That's actually a big drop. Like when we're talking about 4 or 5 points usually being the difference, sometimes even closer between second, third, and first, we're talking 2 eliminations can be the difference between you winning $150,000 or $69,000, and both those numbers are life-changing amounts of money. The pressure is on, and a lot of these teams are used to playing for that, like Stretch, Saf, and Avery's team. Some of them not so much. Blake Furious and Illest have been around the scene for a very long time, waiting to have their big finals performance. Blake's kind of been through a little bit of the wars early on with teams, kind of fallen into that same boat as Ronaldo, being a competitive player that's had some huge achievements, but just struggles to find a team they can lock down with. Blake specifically keeps getting put in this IGL leadership role that he keeps saying he doesn't want to have, but when he's given it, he does well. They're only got 7 points on the board so far here today, but with this loadout, they're looking fantastic. Only 8 above the Surge though. Let's see it. Blake's the IGL, but you're backed up with 2 of the best fighters in the world with Furious and Illest, and they need to get in on a team, and unfortunately, it's looking like it might be our first place team, Monster.
Yeah, and now they're under the pressure of the Stinkbo as well, so this is just slowing them down, chipping them down, and putting them in a much worse position here for taking the Storm Surge fight. Luckily, they are just going to get enough off of the tags of their teammates there, so they're maybe not going to need to take the box dive here. 13 players having to go down is not too bad. It's a lot, though. It still is a lot. And for Gabe, Tahi, and Sprite, who's up above, I mean, I'm hoping that they're above, too, because if they're not, then this is going to be a full-on clash between the two. And that's just sometimes how the circumstances can end up playing out. For Versus2K, though, in the feed there, he finds Hornet and Skylix. Miro finds Adonis. That's the full trio wipe. And now all of a sudden, Versus2K and company. More team wipes early in the game, like we expect them to do. It's going to continue to step their way up onto that stepping stone of Gabe, Tahi, and Sprite. They're on their foundation. They're looking at them saying, hey, what's up? We want first place again.
Oh, and Illest has got the peppers as well. I mean, a purple pump peppers with Illest is a very, very scary combination. But Gabe, Tahi, and Sprite, they've been fighting this whole season. I backed them to win this fight, or at least stalemate it. And if Illest knew who he was about to fight, I feel like he would be questioning a little bit. As again, Damien Reverse, 3 eliminations on the board. They are pushing forward. You talk about all these teams that, you know, hit these crazy strategies. We got Stretch, Saf, and Zayt. We're now Avery, always setting up those plays, right? They always set up the bush plays. They set up the split plays. They try to rotate dead side, try to get on the high ground. This is a team that just through sheer confidence and fighting ability, they white line it. They follow that white line to the next zone. They go straight in and they just run through any team that's ahead of them. And that might sound like it's a bad way to play, but it's just testament to how good this team is at winning their fights. And that's a scary way to play your finals, because you have to have supreme confidence, as here it is, your player Monster Chimp right now with the legendary pump shotgun, and it looks like his teammates Teo and Tabney, I was about to say, have finished up this fight, but no, it looks like there's a player still standing in this one, as I believe Teo's gone down. Tabney's got to bring him back, and Chimp's got that pump in hand ready to do something, but Zone is closing in, and Tetro is giving this team a world of trouble.
Yeah, definitely, but they are going to get this pickup here. They do have a med kit as well and a flopper play off of, but no, there's a Storm team holding them out. They're already at the edge of the zone there. That could be the likes of another big squad there too on the standing, so we'll see how it ends up folding out. They're going to find Tetro here, so at least it wasn't for nothing. It's a full team wipe. That's a 6-point swing. It's Pam, Fatch, and Carrie. Fatch actually just found Knifer in the feed there, who was a part of the Sticks trio. They land somewhere on this outer edge. They had to rotate too, and that is just how it's going to end up playing out for Chimp. He gets inside, but not long enough to stay up, and that is how they get wiped out. So again, for some teams, this zone is just a tougher burden to overcome. But I wanted to talk about Versus2K and Miro and Dave just a little bit more, because these have been very much Western zones, and they land on the Eastern side of the map. So for teams that are looking at this zone or looking at the Storms and blaming the Storm, I mean, you're watching a team that's in second place right now. No excuses, right?
Genuinely, and they're doing it out of Dirty Docks, which is tucked in down behind the mountain, uncontested, no storm surge. You have to get above that mountain and push west before you can even begin to get your surge. It's only teams that can truly win their fights that are in that position to be able to make it through. And Gabe Tahi and Spry, they've been getting a bit of zone favoring so far, but they have been playing phenomenally well. And I love that monster, right? We even saw it today, right? EU, we managed to see Hen, Janice, and Chapix break the mold. They're contested 6 games out of 6 with majority south zones at Craggy Cliffs, and they're still in second place by 1 point. It is truly, Fortnite has gotten to a level where there are no excuses. These players are getting so good, they're pushing the boundaries so far that even with everything against you, if you are that good, you can overcome anything. And it is truly ridiculous to watch. As someone who knows, who has been looking at the statistics, when you're contested, it normally doesn't go your way, but some of these teams are just on another level.
Yeah, for sure. And you can't let those contested drop spots affect you, right? You can't make it personal. You just have to kind of take that one and move on with it, hopefully bounce back, come up or formulate a better strategy to end the games faster. You know, maybe pull a retail roast strat, land on the team, go for the pickaxe strategies, wipe it up, right? And just say, hey, this is how it's going to end. You know, sometimes it is just like that. But here, this is not basic Fortnite. This is complex levels of Fortnite. We're deep into the storm lines now. For Slackjack and Acorn, they're still 63 points into this competition here. So far, for all the caster picks, for all the teams we've looked out for, they're all doing exceptionally well. All of them are very much approaching, if not are inside the top 10 and have been inside the top 10 since the tournament has kicked off.
Yeah, but they are very scarily not inside the surge threshold. This is your team that is below, and Slackjack and Acorn surprisingly not feeling the pressure by looks of it. They're taking their shots. They're really trying to get active for the surge, but they're not going super aggressive, and this is why. There it is, 38 above, but that is not enough. Where right now, I think they realize someone's above them and a fight's breaking down. That is a surge fight above them, and that is easy tags for them if they can work their way in. They are back to being 5 below. This is going to jostle. You're going to see it jump and change a lot here, but all that matters is there it is, 222. When those damage tags, they just got above, tick over, they are above. This needs to go below 50 players. So you've got 9 seconds until Storm Surge kicks in, and we have 59 players that needs to drop down below 50 before it's going to stop. So this team needs to stay above. Acorn's looking pretty weak, and my pick is looking okay here, but definitely not fantastic. But they get a half zone. If they can play off this, if they can somehow find a refresh, an early end game, they can bring this back. As Stretch is now in the feed, and everyone is poised to start making this rotate south, and it looks like it's Nosh and Chucky on the high ground. We haven't seen much from our team that dominated their qualifier, but Centered, Command, and Edgy are now getting hit for the surge. It was jostling between your last FNCS champion and your second place. This is really unfortunate for this team.
And look at this, Stretch now swings on in. They see the zone pull. It's Sap, Avery, and Stretch once again playing for that high ground hold. This is a team that is fighting in pursuit for the FNCS championship belt. They want it all. They want that pickaxe. Not the belt, it's a pickaxe. They want the pickaxe. They're trying to see what they can do. Edgy though, they bounce back. Okay, they pick up Scented. He doesn't get finished by the surge. They find the tags that they need, and now all of a sudden they combat against all odds. The actual Storm Surge. It's not every day you can say a team actually beats the surge, right? So it just so happened to work out that way for them.
I mean, this is interesting position right now. You don't want to be taking that 3v3 when Center's on next to no health. Edgy's got the most health on 110, but Edgy gets another knock now, and that could be more Siphon, that could be more.
The knock with the last right now. Bullet.
They're also going to need something. They're working their way through. This is why this team, again, I'm talking about teams that are on another level. This is a team on another level. Look at the position they were in, and look what they've done for themselves. There's no sense and commandment around the corner, and the team runs through. I don't know who this is. It is Jack, Slacks, and Acorn. That was your first place FNCS team taken down. The second place is Damien Reverse now getting in as well. Everyone's getting active. Gosh. This is now your reigning champions from 2 seasons ago, taking on third last season. The Titans are clashing. I'm talking about teams on a different level, and right now they are all colliding.
These are the actual best of the best going toe-to-toe right now. You couldn't ask for a better front seat for action, right? These are the teams that you want to see. And Day says, hold up, it's not all over. The show's not over. We have another episode, and it's Bucky. Bucky goes down. Macwood is down. Day is on fire, and he already has more elims by himself than all of the other teams have in total, right? All these teams he's wiping up, it doesn't even matter. By himself, he's popping off here.
He is absolutely popping off, and you talked about it. All our caster picks are in this monster. All of our caster picks just collided. We had yours and mine going up against, I believe it was Vivid and Adams right there as well, and it looks like a few of us came out on top, a few of us didn't, unfortunately, though, and they're pushing forward, and no, it was actually your pick that just went down, sorry, but Day is looking not too much hotter here. We're all on the edge of our seats to seeing who can pull this off, and Avery, Stretch, and Saf finally have their high ground on first rotating. We've seen them on half-half. They didn't get the zone. They are still there. Our FNCS champs, Jack, Slacks, and Acorn, fought back against the surge. They came out on top, and now they're rotating the front side, as it looks like Mira's just still in this. He's clinging on. Reverse 2K is still in there as well, but their loadout is not looking too great. They need to get in. They need to get the meds off. And Sap on the high ground, you are just going to hear unrelenting fire. They have the assault rifle ammo. No one conditions higher better than them. You are not going to get an inch of room to breathe. You need to play this endgame flawlessly because they are looking for you.
And we just saw some critical movement coming out of Miro right there. Great decision making. He layers himself up, gets the safety, but Acorn on the other side in a box fight here to stay alive right now. There are still a full trio up, but they're all on their own different layers, and one is going to go down. So all of a sudden now Jack is out of the equation. It is up to Acorn and Slacks here, who are not next to one another. They might as well be solos at this point to find anything that they can. Here it is, the Harpoon coming out here to desperately stay in the game, but no, there's another team behind that wall. But because he goes in a different direction, at least Acorn is up. Into top 10 he goes, and now looking for the shotgun shot. No hesitation. Hits one. Can he hit the second? He doesn't need it. He moves on. But this is pressure time. Ozzy, can he steal away more? Yes, he can. He's right behind one, and no, just barely misses out there.
That is such an uncharacteristic miss shot there, but they still clutched up a top 7. That is still consistent points, as right now it is Stretch, Sap, and Avery on the high ground. Can they have the surge up as Reverse falls, Miro falls? They are now out. Our first place team is out. Our second place team is out. Our third place team is out. Degen, Ages, and Skittles potentially still in this one. I think they've fallen as well. So right now, all the pressure is on Sap, Stretch, and Avery. Can they jump from 7th right up on the leaderboard? They have the potential to do it, and there's some big names still playing around in this one. They have 21 builds, but Avery is still looking to grab what he can. Gets the big pot. Remember, this team also has the firepower. If this breaks down into a fight of height versus low, they also have the weapons, but we have full trios down below. We have Jamper, Threats, and Rise. We have Rokane, Dubs, and Mega. These are teams who have been here before. They know what to do in these situations, and they could potentially dethrone the high ground. Dubs is going around. He's leading the charge right now. What can he find? 42 tag. I believe that might be one of the solos. I don't think that's one of our full trios, but where is the zone going to go? I believe the zone could potentially go up the mountain here. No, it's going back across Monster. Can Avery, Stretch, and Sap break their way in? Threats is going to go down. Jamper and Rise. Dubs is low right now, and this is what I was talking about. Stretch, Sap, and Avery control the high ground, and they are just forcing these teams to do their bidding and fight each other, and they're going to swoop down and clean it up unless someone can step up big.
Yeah, and listen, Pam's already done what he had to do. He's dismantled one of these teams here. So for Avery and crew, all they have to do is hit their shot. And Avery, he doesn't miss. He finds the 108. Can he find a side tag here? No, instead he's going to back off. He has to heal here. Stretch is going to have to take over now as he has the most HP out of this trio here. Remember, Staff is probably going to be the one who might just have to play for the heal off here. Stretch is all the way up top. Avery's going right back down. It's a bit of a reset. There's only 2 trios left. They're inside the zone. They clean it up. They sweep them under the rug. And now a 7 elimination victory royale for the veterans, Stretch, Avery, Sap. And again, we couldn't even pick them because there's too many teams to keep an eye out on here.
And they're doing well. We saw them take the high ground at half last game. Now they actually get the first rotating zone. We're able to see what they can do with it. Height is not luck. It's about someone being aggressive enough to take it, but can you hold it? I said it early on. If they get high ground, if they have the assault rifle ammo to clear out low, if they have the materials to hold it, it is very, very rare someone's going to be able to dethrone them. They play it to perfection, but was it enough? We've seen big elimination wins. That was a big win, but was it enough eliminations?
The thing is, this is their season to do it. There is not a lot of high ground teams in this current type of meta. It's so favorable to the low ground teams and those kind of team play styles. And for that reason, this is why we're watching them go aggressively for height. Not a lot of teams are contesting them. Every team that has contested them has been because of the fact that, okay, they just so happen to get zone favor. They might as well because it's the right thing to do. But Aussie, they're a type of team that wants to change the storyline. They want to take advantage. They don't care where the zone pulls. They want to be a high ground type of team.
They want to be a high ground kind of team. I even saw Stretch being real cheeky earlier on today. He was on social media exposing the strategies of other teams like DJ and Aegis Skittles who like to go for high ground. It's all the mind games. And when you think, when the pressure's on, who's going to be able to handle it? That is another team very much in the ring. They've been in these positions before. They've been at the very top before. But are they going to be able to jump up into first? I didn't really see Gabe Tahi and Sprite too much in that one. We got to see Damir on a verse. They almost clutched it up, but we're going to throw it to the desk so they can break down the leaderboard. Was that game enough?
Boys, I'm loving the passion. I'm loving the fire, okay? That's what we like to see coming out of these games. That was game number 3, okay? There's a lot of things we have to talk about, but first, I want to just say congratulations on the victory royale. I mean, listen, Avery, Saf Stretch, this was a team that way back when they first formed, right? Zate retires. We're thinking, can this team, are they still good? Like, that's such a strange thing. And Vivid, I vividly remember asking this question, are they good? And you were like, bro, I'm telling you, Zate is a god, but without them, with the inclusion of Avery, with that refresher, this team is good. And right now they're showing us that, Vivid. It's incredible.
Yeah, and in sorts, you know, backstage, the opposite of a caster curse, I think Adam did a caster gift, you know, backstage he was talking, you know, we haven't been talking much about Stretch, Avery, and Sap, and then comes up with a victory out there. But yeah, you know, Stretch learned so much from Zate. He absorbed that information because Zate, as we know, one of the most intelligent players to ever touch the game, and Stretch just soaked all that in, and he is now using it in this newly formed trio to where it technically has more firepower than when Zate was on it, but it kind of has that same intelligence level. Stretch probably has a couple more things to clean up, but I think he can be as good of an IGL as Zate whilst being a very mechanical player.
Firstly, Vivid, thanks, mate. Got my back there, bro. I love that. That was great. Because I was going to bring it up myself, I'll be honest with you. But I said there was this weird moment in game 1 where we're all sat there, and I said they were just waiting for the kind of the storm to move. And I said to you guys, I was like, there feels like there's a kind of new era of confidence or strategy around these guys now. There was a vibe coming out of the screen at me. I thought they've been there or thereabouts the last few games. They've obviously wanted that high ground, as Ozzy and MDF pointed out there as well. They clearly have, going into this, a lot of confidence, which I think we've dabbled, you know, talked about challenges versus champions and such as well, like, you know, reboot rounds versus those who qualified previously. But these guys have like a legacy as well, and I think we saw that in by the bucket load in that last game as well. And they took it. The 7 eliminations, is it enough? I don't think it quite was, but they're certainly going to continue growing. These are an unbelievable trio to watch.
Just so good. And you know, I love that you talk about confidence, because this is actually something that I learned like pretty early on in my casting career. Was like, I don't think confidence is like, I think it just is all mechanical skill. It's not true. Confidence plays such a major factor in whether you're going to hit or miss those shots. For them, they got that confidence. Now, boys, I want to talk about another trio that is just looking so freaking good. It's Day, it's Miro, it's Reverse 2K. These guys, it doesn't matter what situation they're in, they're slamming eliminations and they're finding the plays.
Yeah, and
yeah, they really. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, well,
no, obviously.
How they are so good at getting elims. You know, Miro here, he sees that there are 2 individuals here at the start of this tarp right here, and they're building out of wood, the weakest material in Fortnite, right? He knows that we're playing trios and there's going to be a 3rd teammate. So watch what Miro does in a split-second decision making here. So, like I said, he knows that there are, you know, 3 people on a trio, so he waits for that 3rd one to be isolated. He jumps in, he basically gains all the pieces here, the 2 cones, the cone at the bottom and the cone at the top, so that way the player doesn't have anywhere to go, and he jumps in with 1, 2, 3 of his trio mates there and secures that elimination on a top tier player, Jack of none other, right? It's just a huge like thing to be able to see that if somebody builds out of wood, you can make a play here. And then look at this, they follow that tarp of that trio of Jack's trio, so Slack and his teammate up here are making this hard for them still, and they just go ahead and they follow it, right? Because they know that it's a duo, and they know that they can completely abuse this guy out of this tarp. But what this does is it leads them all the way to this end spot here where they have so many options. They go this way, that way, and they use it all the way up to this point, and then watch what happens after this. As soon as they have the opportunity to go where they want to go, they make it quick to select and find yet another elim on another top tier player, Saf. They're always together. They're always using their surroundings. They're always using their intelligence to their very best of their ability.
Yeah, that was a classic example there as well. Us rehearsing behind the scenes, we saying, "Vivid, you do want to go illustration lesson, show us all about what's going on," and me just losing my marbles and just wouldn't stop talking. No. So, you know, this is the leaderboard as it stands here, and you're absolutely right. You know, Miro, Reverse 2K, Day, unbelievable. We saw his stat there as well with Day, who had, I think, other than 2 teams, himself had more eliminations than any other trios. Incredible. 65 placement points, 27 eliminations. That is why they're in the top spot. 119 points. The richer there. We see Gabe, Tahi, and Sprite there right behind them though. In second place, 23 eliminations, 106 points, 60 placement points. The top 3 teams, the top 4 teams now, all with at least 60 placement points. We obviously see Saf, Stretch, and Avery there creeping in 3rd position too. But looking up and down, teams we haven't really talked about like Nosh and Nut and Chucky there creeping in at 10th position. I mean, Slacks, even Acorn and Jack, we haven't talked about those guys that much. The FNCS champions still managing to get in the top 5, which is incredible.
And yeah, a trio that I was expecting to be way higher up in the leaderboards, but it's also not necessarily surprising, is Bucky, Kanata, and Macwood. They're in the 13th spot. Now, if you remember a point that we talked about at the beginning of the broadcast, these guys last FNCS, where they ended up getting top 3, at the end of day 1 were in 12th position. And it's kind of looking like it's going to shape up to be that same storyline here. Even though they're in this 13th position, they've shown us before that they can have a really, really solid day 2. So even if, this day 1 continues to go along this path, I still have beliefs that these guys will, end up in a top 5 finish.
Yeah, I think looking... Oh, the spotlight we have as well here is we have Day, Amira, and Reverse. Of course, we had to highlight this trio, which is, at the moment, really incredibly exciting to watch them compete here at FNCS Final Season 6. We can see 14 eliminations versus the top 10, 9 versus the top 10. So they really are going head to head with the best of the best right now. And coming out on top there, unassisted eliminations, 10. Full team wipeout eliminations, 2. All trio going down courtesy of these guys. So this spotlight, we cannot help but we showcase them and what they are. Absolutely brilliant. I've got no doubt going into game 4 that we're going to see much of the same.
Man, it is absolutely insane. And you know what, Monster, he said his statement was could not be more accurate. There's just so many good trios, so many trios firing on all cylinders right now that it feels like anytime we're cutting to a different perspective of a different trio, it's just constant high octane gameplay, high powered shots, impact eliminations left and right. And once again, it is just all of these trios finally making the finals. They understand what needs to be done. And remember, this is just the first day. This isn't even the hypest part of the competition, right? Because we come back tomorrow for the next 6 games of Fortnite. And that's when it all matters. That's when every single elimination, you as a viewer, you'll feel that in your heart because you're like, oh my gosh, one, the person we just watched picked off that other person, and I'll fall, and vice versa, right? There's so much that is at play here. But don't worry, we're here. We're here to be alongside you, to watch, to cry, to cheer, and I promise you, right now I'm trying to contain my hype, okay? Because it's at any moment, okay? It's gonna be flowing out of me just like Slurpee Swamps is, okay? Absolutely here. We're here to have a great time. Now, I know what you're thinking. Zeke, I want to jump back to these games. We will, but first we gotta go to a break. I know. The truth of it is, I'm extremely parched and I need to get hydrated, just like you should. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to a break, but don't worry, Game 4 is going to start. That is the game you'll be watching on screen. As that timer counts down, hits 0, Aussie Antics, Monster DFace, they'll be there to get us right back into the action. We won't miss a single thing. So we'll take 5 minutes, and then we'll see you right here, back with the FNCS. See you in just a little bit.
All right, welcome back, Fortnite fan. From the short break there, it's your guys, Monster Deface and Aussie Antics, calling all the action. We're coming right on into game number 4, zone number 2. You're tuned in with what was your first place team up until now, Tahi, Gabe, and Sprite. You saw for a second there, Aussie, right before we switched over to this team, reverse came your own day, already at 5 eliminations in this round 2. So things are really picking up. It's almost like they're on a momentous train and they haven't jumped off yet. They're still just literally blazing their way through right now.
Yeah, they are kicking up the pace right now. They are really spicing things up. As we know they can do best, but all it's going to take is one of those fights too many, and it could go against them, but that's really big. That is already 10 points on the board, and we are not even inside the top 75 players. As we tune in with Saf, Stretch, and Avery, our Game 3 Victory Hour winners from the high ground. And this is an interesting team, right, Monster? We've talked about this a lot, and this is the perfect player I want to highlight, Avery. And I feel like I'm a culprit of this too. Avery has forever been in the shadows of other fantastically amazing players, but Avery is one of the best players in NAE, and I don't think he gets the recognition from that. When you're playing with the likes of Booga, when you're playing with people like Stretch and Saf, it's hard not to. These are absolute legends, but Avery is playing so phenomenally well, and I'm so proud to see him now fitting into this spot. He's filling the shoes of Zayt. I would argue, Monster, literally the biggest shoes in NAE to fill.
Yeah, no, definitely. Listen, and the legacy Zayt has left behind goes without us needing to reiterate for you guys. And for that is why there is so much more additional pressure on someone like Avery. Because if you were a Zayt fan, if you were a fan of this trio, when someone like that leaves, it does leave up for question. How are you going to find someone as good, if not better, than the man who pioneered a lot of the practice, scene itself, right? And the competitive strategy that we watched play out today. But you know what? Avery has been one of the greatest additions, one of the perfect just molds into this trio, and they've been proving it all weekend long. It could partially be due to the fact that the entire landscape is changing here, right, Ozzy? Like all the players that we saw in those previous seasons, the game style is changing. It's not just everyone go crazy for high ground, right? There's teams finding their comfort in different areas, and now these type of squads like Avery, Saf, and Stretch now are managing to break away.
And if they can keep doing it, because we got to think Game 3 Victory Hour, but you got to remember Game 2, they were on high ground half. They had the loadout to potentially win that, and just the zone gods, the RNG, the luck, whatever you want to call it, zone pulled across, and they had to give up the high ground. If they got that first rotating zone, there is almost no doubt in my mind they would be in first place right now with back-to-back wins. And now with this zone, they're poised to do it as well. Now, Scoped, Tragics, and Cease, this team is really trying to get their big tags here on the edge. Something has come unstuck for this team right now, and I really hope they can find it and put it all together, as Jack Slacks and Acorn are maybe taking a page out of Damir and Reverse's book here. FNCS champ looking after another FNCS champ. They're taking aggressive mid-game fights, and for my pick here, this would normally be scary, but I have so much faith in this team as a fighting team. They've fallen off the conversation of aggressive fighters in NAEs, but especially when they broke into the scene, they were known for it. But I'm looking at some damage coming out, and no, it's Surge. They need to take this fight. This is what I want to see. Get in, guys. You can win this fight. You've won them before, but now you've left it until to take it. This is not looking good. I am now a lot less confident.
Yeah, they were trying to set it up before the surge came through, but the clock kept ticking, and they couldn't find what they were looking for. And now, Acorn and Slacks, no more shield. They're going to have to pause here to heal. And remember, it's a very distinctive sound on the other side of the wall here. That trio knows exactly that this team is under big pressure. Slacks already gets taken out, and again, they can hear the zapping of the storm coming through after every couple of moments that tick by. Acorn now left behind here. Jack has to go ahead and pause up and heal too. They have to reinitiate here soon though, or otherwise they will end up ultimately falling here to the zone. And it looks like other teams need more too. Straw Hat, Charlie, Goku, and Spego. This is one of my picks coming out of the reboot round here as a team that can absolutely do it because they have so much practice. They literally rinse and repeat these high caliber type lobbies like for a living at this point. So for these teams being in the mix as well, you have to be absolutely careful.
Have to be absolutely careful. And this is Jack and Acorn though. Like I said, they've been playing duos together now since duos FNCS, since before duos FNCS. So we talk about players and teams with chemistry. They've lost Slacks, but Jack and Acorn could very much still get some points out of this game. A win would be a little bit ambitious. If they had the loadout, maybe, but they are looking a little bit low on the loadout, and they're a duo. They're on edge of zone. This next rotate is going to decide everything. They have healthy, good trios all around them right now, and potentially, I think Adonis, Hornet, and Skylix are actually looking for them, or maybe they're looking for the refresh. This is a team on 11 points. This is a 12-game format, Monster, across 2 days. But when we're getting past the halfway mark for day 1, if you're on 11 points, you have to change something. As Scope, Seas, and Tragics are going for the high ground right now, we talk about teams sticking together and chemistry and playing together. This is a team that has been, I don't want to say underperforming for multiple seasons, but a lot of people have been saying the same thing. Given the situation with 3 players of this caliber, most of them would have split to try to find new teammates after not performing. But this team, like I talked about with players like Jack and Acorn, they chose to stick together. They've been working with coaches. They've been VOD reviewing. They put in so much practice. Scoped is clearly been practicing with some of the solo clutches he's pulled off. They're a big fan favorite. I want to see them do more here, though. 3 eliminations on the board. This game is looking like it could be the turning point.
Yeah, and that's the honest truth of it, right? Like, if you want to get better, there's so many different ways to practice. For some, it is literally hitting the books. And what I mean is hitting the VOD review. Go into the replay client, check out exactly what it is that either you're doing wrong or you can pick up from the best teams out there, innovate, copy, and then become better, right? And you know, you literally have to put the strategies into effect, because that is what these teams are doing. For some, there's limited footage out there, right? For a team like Jack, Acorn, and Slex that we haven't gotten to see really perform all season long with the, throughout the FNCS qualifiers, because they are our current reigning champions. They punched their ticket all the way through, and they have maintained their top 5 slot up until now, the halfway mark in the tournament. But Ozzy, being a man down now, being a member down, can they pull a Miro in day? Are they a strong enough duo to do it? We think so, right? Because hello, they blew up as a duo together. This is where honestly their roots all kind of began for this trio, but it is still a matter of putting up the points here. It's been some time.
Yeah, they've got to put up the points here. It has been quite a while, as I'm also seeing Sprite go down in the feed to DGen. That is very, very big right now, and that is huge for Damir and Reverse, because that's the second place team. I believe they've overtaken them on points now with those eliminations, so they are jumping forward, and that's it. I think Gabe, Tahi, and Sprite might be all down here. We have Blake and Tabs G in exchange, Furious and Ved. Looks like Kalazo's team's struggling a little bit here as well, but if any duo can do this, I've got to put it on Jack and Acorn. But I wouldn't be surprised if they don't. They have no shield. They are a duo. It's going to be tough. They need to try and make this rotate and bring something out of this game, even just any points they can get their hands on. We've seen teams come back in a big... They've just got to really stay and make sure they're staying in that top 5. At the very, very least, top 10 coming into day 2, as Dusky, Spade, and Dom right now are getting sprayed up as they try to make the rotate. DGen, Aegis, Skittle, Mega Dubs, and Rokane. There are so many big teams on top of each other. Even Chucky up on the edge. We haven't had a chance to talk to them too much, Monster, because they've been contested here today, but they had one of the most dominant performances we saw in the qualifiers, winning 5 of their 6 games, but they're contested. See if they can maybe win one here.
DGen, Aegis, and Skittles, though, they're back in a big way this game. They have really been chipping away at the standings there, but also chipping away at this lobby. Like, this has been a big lobby for them so far. We're just seeing them constantly get some here, get some there. Nosh, Nutty, and Chucky, though, they do have that high ground. You can see them right there on the side, just praying that they pull the half and half out. Avery, Staff, and Stretch as well, not opting into any of those low ground positions, guys. They do not want to be box to box with anyone. They do not want to allow their game to be taken out by a team that needs surge, by a team that needs to dive on them. If that, they'll be the ones to determine when they want to take those box fights, and that is why they constantly put in the extra material to save themselves from being dived onto. And even now, you can see they're up above, but for Jack and Acorn, they make it to the zone, and it's not going to be enough, as now the lobby focus comes through. You can see Charlie and Goku here just waiting to pick up the loot, and they should be able to get it all now.
Yeah, Scopes and Tragics are up there as well. I believe Cease is going to have to be somewhere nearby. Unless we've lost Cease, potentially. I don't see Cease anywhere in this one. And it is Saf, Stretch, and Avery that have the high ground in half-half again. Is someone going to dethrone the high ground kings, or are they going to run away with it 2 games in a row? This is 3 games in a row. No, 4 games in a row. Every game today, Monster, we've seen them make a potential play for height at half-half. Game 1, they didn't have the material. Game 2, they didn't get the zone. Game 3, they got the zone and won it. Can they get what is going to be 6th zone coming up, the most prestigious zone for high ground teams, the first rotating? Does it pull on this edge so they can tarp for it, or does it pull max opposite? Even if it goes opposite, with the material and the loadout this team has, fully expect them to make a play for it. They will ramp it, and they will lose or win their game on that play.
I was going to say, I don't think it matters. There's a slight slope here. Let's not forget that means teams are coming up and over this little mountain, which means there's even less chance for anyone to go ahead and actually contest them on the other side of the mountain. And you can see they've already marked that little mountain there. They want to get to it, but there is a team just nearby. It's Chucky, NAW, and NUT. They've both kind of recognized the power positioning of this little mountain here. They're both now equally worked their way towards it, but we might see an all-out battle for high ground. This is not a team that is afraid of doing so. We've already seen Staff and company do it before, but it is going to come down. It is going to be determined here in the next 4 seconds now. And again, 2, 1. Where is this zone going to go? It's going to pull to Staff and crew. So now, NAS, Chucky, and NUT here, they actually have to give up the high ground, which means we might see back-to-back. Oh, no, they actually do have it.
He's dropping down. He's reinforcing right now. He's dropping down and taking it. Can Sap, Avery, and Stretch do something to take it off? And we haven't seen these standoffs too much in the past because in previous metas, we've either had shockwaves, we've had RPGs, we've had some power weapon to take out the opposite height to stop them. But right now, with the meta, it's just a complete standoff. It's going to depend who gets the zone. So far here today, Sap, Stretch, and Avery have gotten it once. They haven't gotten it twice, but the best teams we've talked about already, that doesn't define them. Can they come back from it? Can they get over there and potentially make a play? Because they're not dropping down. They're still tarping across on second height. They still want it.
Yeah, but they also need Surge now. They're so far below. 17 players have to go down, and this is one of the most deadly zones to play off of when you need Surge, because you have to fight, you have to focus on the rotate, and usually it results in a player or two going down. But for them, the veterans here, 27, how many players will fall before they actually have to get absolutely active, because they are far and below where they want to be. Right now, though, they're still looking. Day found Sap, Miro found Stretch, and now Reverse 2K is just leading out this rotate here. No material for him, so they are completely on E. The gas is no longer here inside the vehicle. They need to continue to power on through, but no, it doesn't even matter. Looks like Miro finds another one there. That might be the refresher, the fuel that they are looking for here to go ahead and stay alive. And they're literally fueling themselves on the dreams of their competitors. We call that nightmares here. What can Miro do now? He's looking upwards. There are still so many teams, though. There's a lot of placement here to be picked up.
Illustrator is still in this one, so we got some teams that are down there who need this big performance, and there it is. Miro finds DJ, make it 6. The big purple pump. Reverse is down. Day is getting lit up, but Miro is looking healthy. We have Miro running into Illust, 2 of the best controller players on NAE East. Miro fires first, but Illust hits harder, hits the big 200 pump. Illust just ran the absolute clash of titans. The controller gods on low ground are going at it. Sense and Edgy Commander in the mix. The fire comes out. Day is going to go down as well. Edgy Sense Commandment around the edges. Illust and Blake are doing this as a duo. The charge is being led by Illust as Sentient goes down as well. That fire is just overtaking low ground. Chucky, NUT, and NOSH, they won 5 games of 6 in their qualifiers. We haven't seen them in their position here today. Can they close it out? 2 teams alive, 5 players. They need to make their way down. I believe this is Blake and Illust. Both these teams are down leaderboard. No, it was Edgy and Commander have won the low ground. Of course they have. No one can take the low ground off this team, but it's a 3v1. What a second place performance. But NOSH, NUT, and Chucky, they make it on Miro Universal right there to the very end. Zeke, break it down, because this is going to be a close one.
It's already too close, Ozzy. I don't like it. My stress levels through the roof right now. Okay, first off, NUT, NOSH, Chucky, a victory royale. I like the way that that MDF and Ozzy kind of explain this, right? That any team can essentially get the victory royale. Any team can walk out of NA East and say, we'd like the victory royale. And it's all about which team is kind of given that golden path. Right, Vivid? There's still a lot that goes into making that happen. But I'm appreciating a lot of these trios, sometimes different trios, just finding that path and saying, look, we know we are veterans of this game at this point. We know what it takes to win. We just have to execute that plan and execute it well.
Yeah, and I love the fact that Nosh is finding victory routes. Even since the last season, we had a completely different trio. He's been doing so well with these high ground takes. Like I don't think I've ever seen some Nosh like scrim gameplay, but I would love to, because I would love to see how he is. When maybe he's IGL, maybe he's just taking like a backseat type of thing. I'd love to know how he plays within a trio, and you know what the comms are like.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most fascinating parts of this. I'd love to hear the comms and what the players are actually, because there's an instinctiveness to everything they do. They're kind of knowing where they're going to be and what the calls are in that situation as well, because it's all happening so fast. But again, we saw some of the trios rising to the top. You know, I think we counted for Miro's trio, I think 11 or 12 eliminations coming in like third position. So more big points for the teams at the top of the table. So I cannot wait to see how that all turns out very shortly and see who's currently top after game 4.
And you know, kind of like continue this, what I'm appreciating, it's how these players are effectively using their loadouts. It doesn't matter what we put in their hands at this point. They open a chest, they're going to use whatever that item is to its fullest effect.
Yeah, and that's why these pro players, that's why these top-of-the-line players are good. Look at this. The Harpoon has been something that is notorious for keeping trios alive, in the sense that it keeps them fresh in the material department, because they can get these elims from a great distance. They don't have to really risk much, and then when they get those elims, it's usually hard to get that loot, right? No, if you have a Harpoon, you can just use the Harpoon to grab that loot and grab whatever materials, shield, any weaponry that was dropped from a distance, and it just does a great job of finding resources for teams.
Yeah, the Harpoon is, I think arguably the best thing to have at the end game, because you can collect those mats, everything you said, the resources are imperative as well. But we see some other weaponry that's kind of really important as well here. We know one of the big factors is, of course, Storm Surge. So you need weaponry that can hit from distance to get that damage, that you make sure that you're above the Storm Surge when it comes around your way. I mean, we're looking at the tactical shotguns here. We're talking about as well, pump shotguns. These are really imperative as well. Obviously, high impact is incredibly important in close proximity, like a lot of you're seeing now. Is like everything is very close together, so when you can land those shots, accuracy obviously is important, but the firepower is imperative as well, to make sure you down your enemy and do not let them get back up. Let's have a look at standings. This is what we're here for. The leaderboard is looking feisty. Oh, look who's on top. Vivid, hello. Day Miro reversed their 38 eliminations. This is unbelievable, bearing in mind we saw earlier on the Middle Eastern results. I think the top was 71 eliminations across 12 games. We've played 4 and they're on 38. So think about it that way. There's still 2/3 of the way to go. We're looking at second place here. We have Censored, Edgy, come on with as well. 87 place was eliminations. That is the reason there's almost 40 points difference between first and second position. But you can see there as well, 4th, 5th, 6th position, they're all very tight, 112 to 111 points. Vivid, this could go any way going into game number 6 after this next one.
Yeah, the top 5 there, very, very competitive. But man, that lead that Daymir and first have is scary. 38 elims. That is a 9.5 elim average over the 4 games that we have played. 9.5. That's basically 10 elims per game. Hello, we're in the finals. Like, they're getting 10 elims on like the best players in NA East every single game. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, we can see here as well that that we've got like big players, big teams. We haven't actually been celebrating as much as others, simply because the end game has been dominated by a certain 3 or 4. We can see here we got Teo, Chimp, and Tapton. We talked about Aspects Trio with Whofish. We don't really talk about at all, because they haven't managed to really get into that final few teams to kind of see if they can give themselves a chance to actually take the victory royale. So hopefully we're going to start to see that happen going into game 5 and onwards as well, that these teams can get back up, because there's only 12 games. It's finite here. They really need to make an impact going into day 2 tomorrow.
Absolutely. Just ensuring that, like, whatever happens, if you could just slow another trio down and just kind of cut them off from accruing more points, that's just going to, like, slow down their progress trying to attack leaderboards, right? Like, for all we know in this game, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, Caster Curse, it's not going to happen, okay? But if something did happen, like Miro's trio falling early, like, that's another way that everyone else can try to catch up, right? There's so many, like, little things that are going into making all of this happen, all of these Titans going head to head. So keep a lookout for it, fam. Watch that elimination feed and follow along with Monster Deface and Aussie Antics, because you know what time it is. It's time for game number 5 of the Fortnite Champions Series from NA East. Let's get back into all the action.
Let's get back into it, because this is starting to look like an incredible day right now for Reverse 2K, Miro, and of course Day here. They're popping off. They're setting themselves up way ahead of the pack, and it's really feeling reminiscent to the last time they got to touch that FNCS Pickaxe of Champions there. I mean, Ozzy, listen, Now we get to see Nut, Nosh, and Chucky, though, as they hop up and, you know, secure themselves a victory. Now put themselves inside the running here for also a solid day one. But it's just looking like a different kind of Fortnite. Like, are these other teams playing the same game or what?
Yeah, it is looking interesting here as well. Remember, it looks reminiscent of the first time we saw Reverse 2K's team win FNCS 2 seasons ago. They were doing it with a way, I would say, objectively worse drop. They were doing the kind of Fort Crumpet split. They're one of those teams that were like, look, we haven't gained everyone's respect yet. This was before a lot of you guys knew who Day and Miro were, especially. You know, a few of us had our eyes on them. The level of, you know, respect they command now to get uncontested dirty. They were going the Crumpet split, and even then, on the last games, they got contested on day 2, and everything almost came unstuck. It came down to them rotating away, leaving the Crumpet, and they found a llama submerged in the water, and that gave them the final boost they needed to take out the win. But now they're doing it out of dirty docks, arguably one of the best drops on the map, uncontested. They command so much respect. They've done it with so much less. You have to imagine, unless one of these teams step up, or multiple, they're running away with this at this point.
Yeah, definitely. And the thing is, how do you single out a team like this? How do you actually break apart their winning strategy, which honestly just seems to be drop every team in their path and don't stop doing it. They take advantage of the chaos. They take advantage of the storm surge. They don't let any of those small to perform in the round. And I think that is what's most impressive so far. They've just really, honestly, not only has Reverse just putting a lot of pressure on his own shoulders, but he's putting up and he's walking the walk here, because, you know, yesterday he was talking the talk. He was putting it out there. He was willing to say straight out loud to everyone that, hey, he thinks he is the best player out here as far as his trio goes, right? He thinks that they are miles above the competition, miles ahead of the competition, and they're doing it right now.
Oh, and we're seeing an interesting engagement breakdown over at Slurpee. I have to imagine, or maybe it was Jackslax and Acorn. Talked about teams needing to step up and do something different. Jackslax and Acorn have rotated in, and they're taking a fight against Scope, Tragics, and Cease. Cease is nowhere to be found right now. Cease is off in the distance. He's making his rotate in, but unfortunately, it looks like, I talked about it, Scopes is on something else right now. He is looking like, again, I mean this with the most amount of respect, duo FNCS Scopes, when really he took the world by storm, really made a name for himself, because I believe this was a 3v2, and I think Scopes backed it up here with Tragics and turned it now into a 2v1. Once Cease gets here, and it looks like Cease and that is your FNCS champions going down here. Cease, Scope, and Tragics win this engagement. That is a massive, massive upset. Here in the final games of day one.
And the crazy part is that people look down on this trio right here, because they qualified coming in one of the later spots, right? They just managed to pull in a tight qualification out of that third week. But again, this just shows that, hey, they're here and they can pop off, and even your best of the best, even your reigning champions can fall, right? Kings can bleed too here, and now we get to see, again, another brief look here at Commandment, Edgy, and Sentis draw spot. We already know how it all ends up playing out. They like to compile all the big loot here in the middle. They usually end up stashing it, and then they figure out where they want to rotate. Before the show kicked off, I was talking to y'all just say, hey, how do these guys even like to play for their tags? Like, what's the strategy? And you said they're a hybrid type of team, right? You can't really put a pin on them. They really just determine or play it off based on the zone.
Yep. Play it off the zone. That's what you got to do. They've got to be a little bit, responsive to it. There's very few teams that have just mastered a play style so
already have used up all the brick. That's a rough one, or a rough spot to be in. But SizShay's announced they do have a lot of shields, so they should be okay to go in and bounce back as far as the heals go. It's just looking a little worse for Wears right now as far as this early game positioning goes. Whether or not they find the rest of the mats, that's a different question.
The mats you can always try to find in a little bit, but they need to find their Storm Surge tags now based on how look. Precise with the infantry rifle. That's a big headshot as 20 takes down Kanata. One with the piece. Kanata's down here, and that's going to be one of those aggressive fights they've been taking towards Flopper Island and towards Stealthy Stronghold. It is breaking down in the identical location monsters. Bucky comes around the corner. Bucky and Mac would have to close this one out. Not only do they have to win this, they need to get the reboot card, and they need to potentially reboot Kanata. This is not looking good for one of the favorite teams coming in to this FNCS right now on 67 points. That's 3 eliminations, but they now have to get Kanata back up.
Yeah, it's almost like we're seeing the, I guess, the decay of the team that didn't get to really play in the FNCS throughout the weeks here. But again, this is the only team that is not up there. And by not up there, guys, they're in the top 15. So don't count them out all the way. It's not all over just yet. They are notorious for coming back on day 2 of these type of formats. They hit the books, they hit the strategy, they hit the VOD, they figure out what went wrong, and they patch up all the holes in their gameplay. So that is why, for me, Bucky, Macklin, and Kanata are a very high placing pick for me. I just genuinely think that they're one of the better teams out there, especially on these 2-day formats. There's not a lot of teams that can actually bounce back and play the length that it takes, the mental fortitude that it takes to go ahead and be the best for these long competitions of 12 games.
And they're a momentum team as well. When they get going, they are very hard to stop. And we have not seen them on high ground a single time here today, which is very uncharacteristic. If they get on that high ground, they get maybe a bit of zone luck, 2 or 3 games, got away with it. Macwood sticking the reboot there, you see it in the bottom right, on Kanata, at Craggy. They got a long way to go. So this is maybe not looking like the game, but they could potentially bring it back as you're getting a glimpse of why Nosh, Nut, and Chucky have been so consistent with their Storm Surge. And when they make it to endgame, they have big games. They're at the Spire. And this was a drop that I massively underrated, and I will admit that I was very wrong. I did not think we were going to see too many solid performances out of this drop. To kind of, touch on that as well, they are getting a lot of the loot around the Spire, but I just underestimated how strong the Spire was. This spot of just absolute high ground for your Storm Surge tags is, hold up, first place is in a fight. I said this already. This is a playstyle that's working for them, but all it takes is for a team to meet their match, and this is currently Felix and Sparebow and Pose trying to take a fight against first place. All it's going to take is a reverse day and mirror to potentially lose this fight, and the leaderboard is back up for grabs.
Yeah, definitely. And Felix, Pose, and Sparebow are a patient team. This is a team that is very smart, not one to make big mistakes here. We talk about these up-and-coming types of players that have just, again, drilled this type of practice over and over. This is absolutely one of them. You can see for Miro, Reverse 2K, and Day, they figure that out. They read the situation well. They realize, okay, these guys switch over to hard mats. They're turtled down. They're not panicking under the pressure right now. Why not? Because, and they respect that. But for Xep, Voyu, and Snake, that's a team that has done qualifier after qualifier, and they're scary. So these are 2 very good teams right now. Day's got to be careful. He might just be able to meet his match here.
Yeah, 15 below. This is scary. These are the fights that put you on the edge of your seat right now. The pressure is on the champs. They need to win this, and there is damage coming out on Day right now. We get our quick stat flying up. Day's trio, 38 elims through 4 games is a new record in NAEs. This team drops eliminations, but could this be the one game where they don't? They are 36 above now. They need more, but the problem is when they were taking their fights before this, there was no other eyes on them. They got to have their free 3v3, and they're going to win that 9 times out of 10. But not only could this be the 10th time, there are multiple teams on this one right now. You see Voil's team, you see Sparebow's team. Day was getting lit up by another team down towards the lake house. Right now, if they take a full-on engagement, they are going to have to play it flawlessly. And I believe they can do it, but this is looking scary now for your first place team. 16 above is not going to hold. And previously, they have not got their long-range Storm Surge tags. These are 2 controller players, notoriously good for fighting, but controller is very difficult for those long-range range tags. You don't have that precise dexterity that a mouse gives you. So they need to either take a close range fight and win it, or they got to change something up as they're getting just little bits of tags, Monster. I don't think it's going to be enough. They're going to have to jump in very soon.
Yeah, Reverse 2K is actually going to lead that jump in right here, right now. He gets up onto the box here of the crew right just nearby, which is Snake and company. So already he's looking to see if he can exchange some big shotgun charges here. All he wants to do is hit one major shotgun pump here. If he can just hit the single pump or the body tags like this, that is actually going to be enough to at least give them a little bit of time here. You have to believe Miro's already howling out the comms here. He's letting them know, hey, I found the tag, just stay up. But no, Reverse 2K gets a little bit of his own medicine here. He gets a taste of the pressure from all the other teams, and now the Stink Bows are coming in. This might just be wraps for a first place team now. It's up to Miro pretty much by himself to play defense for Day, as Day needs to heal.
They're only a little bit above now. They have to. It is Reverse 2K that goes down. It's Except and Voil, who are the other team on the receiving end of Surge. They were trading off Surge on each other, and now Day goes down. It's just Miro with a big 108 pump shot tag around the corner. This is your first place. This is your team running away with the tournament, and they're going to potentially go down here. Voil goes down. He's got the flopper. It's a 1v1. Miro needs to win this. This is so important. It looks like they do close it out, but as a solo, I talked about this. The way they are playing is so confident. It is so dominant, but all it's going to take is one wrong fight that you're forced to take, and that is it now. You are a solo trying to hold on to your lead. Commandment Sense and Edgy will have eyes glued on the feed. They're in second place. They've come second to this team in an FNCS in the past. They've come second to Jack Slacks and Acorn. They do not want to come second here this weekend, and this is their game to jump back up. They need to take it away because Day and Reverse have fallen. Miro is a solo with 73 players alive, and he was only just above Surge Monster. So not only does he have to make this rotate, he needs to get damage on top as a solo.
Yeah, definitely. And for Degen, Aegis, and Skittles, the team that is just outside of that striking distance as well, they may have never gotten a second to any of these FNCS trio champions, but they have gotten close. They have had their own rise to stardom. They have had their own its and bits of success. So for them, it's about tasting that big stage. It's about making it all the way through there now. So it is anyone's opportunity here. If Miro falls, 40 points is absolutely in the cards here. It's a play that can happen, but again, it is about getting these placement points now. For Miro, he has to stay alive until top 17, and that's roughly a 20-minute game here now. It's a long time.
It's a long slog here, and Scented has that legendary assault rifle, the big beams downwind. Only has the green pump, but right now with that assault rifle in the hands of Scented, that is big, big damage. This is one of our triple mouse and keyboard teams. We kind of compare that to our double controller and Reverse 2K on the mouse and keyboard at first right now, and they do have different play styles. Right now, it is in a very, very fantastically balanced state, but the long-range tags definitely go to the way of mouse and keyboard, and that's what this team has. That's why uncontested, they have only struggled for Surge one game so far today, as Cease Tragics are making a pretty uncharacteristic rotate. They've ended up really far away from their original drop of Flush and Hydro Dam after taking down Jack Slacks and Acorn. So we're potentially going to see both our ex-FNCS champions, Miro's team and Jack's team, fall here unless Miro can do something miraculous. If anyone can, it genuinely is Miro. He is one of the best solo clutches I think I've ever seen, not just now, but ever. The way his team plays is quite often the end game. They have to do it as a solo when one of them falls, but Miro is just looking for anything right now. One mini, one flopper. This is not the best loadout.
Yeah, let's not forget, let's take it back to the FNCS Solo Invitational. That was where Miro really started to find his footing inside competitive games. It was then that I actually had the pleasure of interviewing with him. And it was early on. I recognized his skill as a controller player, but he was lacking those IGL skills, lacking the tarping and the extra, fundamental mechanics that you needed to kind of excel. But he's patched that all up. He's done found all that. From then till now, he has grown into such a phenomenal player. He is really now becoming so much more balanced. So you talked about a player that can do it. It is him. He's got the game sense. He's got the knowledge. And now he's got the mechanics to keep up with it.
Yeah, he's going to have to put it all together, though. It's literally going to take phenomenal performances on all three levels to be able to get something out of this game. But the longer he holds on for, the better the chances are. Dubs, Mega, and Rokane under the bridge. An interesting position. We see Sprite up above. Don't see Gabe or Tahi in the mix. They might be split off a little bit. I'm not too sure. And these teams need to have big performances. And of course, Sap, Stretch, and Avery are poised on high ground with the potential to try to get half-half and get that big game. Can they get the 2 victory hours they so sorely probably have been set up for so far here today. Aspect, Chasm, who Vishy around the corner. This is our second last game of the day. This is everyone's last chance to jump back up. Can they make something out of this? As I believe Miro is getting hit with the surge. He's only 7 above. He is somehow holding on. He is somehow still doing this, Monster, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Here comes the team. He needs to get at least 2-3 AR tags to hold on to this one, but he has no more meds in the inventory. He has some builds. He's almost in zone, and 55 above. This might hold. He might secure them even more placements here. If he keeps going, top 17 teams is 3 points. That is massive, and he's 3 teams away. Can he just hold on?
I think he can. Remember, that's what I said. If he can break into top 17, that is the sweet spot for him right now. That is the golden place to be right here as a solo. You can't ask for more from someone who lost his teammates early on due to a Storm Surge fight. You cannot ask for any more than that. For now, though, where is this half in, half out going to go? Is he going to land on top of him? Is it going to be a long take? Because there's so much there. There it is in top 16 now. For every team that falls here, remember, he gets a little bit more placement. So he makes it that much sweeter for, again, a team that
to get with the game, guys, gotta like watch tournaments and
eliminations so far. They're so far ahead of the pack here. They can afford to go ahead and slip up a little bit. But Miro's like, hey, don't even worry about that. We're not falling behind at all here.
That zone though, I mean, Miro, you are an absolute god. You've done it so far, mate, but I don't know. I don't think anyone, I literally do not think a single person could somehow do, I mean, maybe, yeah, it might honestly just be a zipline play and pray, but there'd be so many eyes on them. Miro's going to go through the bridge. He's going to try and tactically play this out, and I love that he's still going for this, but this is not just an opposite half-half. This is a max pull, half-half, as a solo, with no meds, almost below surge, across an absolute chasm. It's literally going over the waterfall. Like, this is the worst position you could possibly be in if you're in first place. But every team that goes down, he gets a point. Can he at least survive maybe for one more team? Or can he get some eliminations? Because that's 2 on the board. And no, he falls. But well done, Miro. Nothing but massive respect for just holding on and even getting, I think that was at least, 3 or 4 more points he clutched up for his team. That could very much be the difference this weekend.
Yeah, definitely. That's an additional 5 points overall that at least Miro gets to squeeze out here in this round of Fortnite. But now, Edgy and Scented have finally found exactly what they were looking for, the elimination. He has literally now managed to find so many, but it is due to the terrain, the way it all plays out, like you said. It was the canyon right in front of him with such a huge divot there. They all have to rotate all the way around the outer edges. It is so predictable for a player like Scented to play off of.
Are we going to see it, though? Are we going to see Scented Commandment on Edgy? These are the kings of low ground, but they are not going to give up a free high ground if it's presented to them. And no, the zone goes across. They don't get the high ground, but that is fine. We know this team, more than any other team, will be fine seeing that. It would have been great to see how they play with the high ground, whether they do have, you know, those multifaceted skill sets and play styles, which I think they would have. Scented and Commandment hit the peppers. I wonder if Edgy has one as well. They're going to hit the long rotate. And like I said, they don't use their peppers for high ground. So Monster touched on it early. They invest them earlier in the game to try to get front side and hold their ulti low. That is why they're so consistent. That's one of the keys to their success. They don't burn them going for big high ground plays. They know if they get front side, they save all the mats and they have it. As Jamper threats and Riser on the backside, and it was Stretch, Saf, and Avery that were poised to take high ground. The kings of high ground take it. We have Stretch and Scented, ex-teammates right now. They battled each other off, and Stretch finally gets the zone. He's got zone once today, and he won the Scented Edgy Commandment. They get low ground every game and they dominate, and they've now got eight eliminations on the board already, Monster, with 30 players in this, 27 opponents to rack up even more.
This is such a contest between Scented, Commandment, and Edgy, and of course, Stretch, Shaft, and Avery, and what they can do. 2 teams that have just such stark difference in playstyles, right? A high ground team, a low ground team, all of a sudden both equally handed exactly what they are looking for. The fact that Scented, Commandment, and Edgy had to give up high ground, it didn't matter because they had so much material up until that point anyways. And now look, they have the firepower to back it up. So for now, the spotlight is on Scented and company, who are having the biggest game of their day so far. These 8 eliminations are massive. It's more points than arguably probably their first game victory royale, because they're still racking up even more now. So it's equal to that round there too. What can they do now as they are starting to approach the final instances of this game? We might just see a clean 3-on-3.
And I don't want to say this is the game that will crown them as the low ground kings. They are the low ground kings, but can you prove why you wear the crown when you're going up against the high ground kings? They are going to be putting down so much pressure. They are going to be spraying for above. They're going to be looking for them. And if they see them in the feed, you know Stretch knows they're down here. This is the team that Stretch plays with when given the opportunity for squads. He knows how they play. He knows their play styles. And more than anything else, Stretch respects them. I'm not going to go as far to say he fears them, but if you're going at high ground versus a low ground team as the final 3v3, this is the absolute last team you want it to be. So they're going to be trying to condition them. They're going to be trying. You're playing for the victory royale, and that is everything. And Scented, Commandment, and Edgy are trying to get more eliminations on the board. They're up to 9. We have 6 teams, 15 players. Second last game today. Mega's still in this one. Scope goes down to Niddle. There's other big teams in the feed, but who is going to be able to close this out? Will these mid-ground teams focus the low, or will they go for high? Because I am positive either Scented, Edgy, Commandment, or Stretch, Sap, and Avery is winning this game, but Niddle is absolutely lighting up the feed.
Yeah, you know what? Those mid-ground teams are the ones that are going to be the deciding factor. It's here and now. Where they decide to go will determine how much loot high ground has, and they're actually pressuring high ground with the support of Niddle for a little bit there. Stretch gets tagged up a few times, and now Niddle looks again to high ground. Just these little tags, these little interactions are going to be the difference. This is a free 50 pot. If they don't take any damage here, punish here, that might be the deciding difference. Scented goes down 2, and now it's a 2v3 situation. We don't get to see the Cinderella 3-on-3 that we were looking for, but at least they get another second place now minimal here coming into this last round. Aussie, it is all but said and done, right? 3-on-2. Can Commandment pull off one of those ridiculous clutch plays? We've seen them hit so many shots in the past like this. Look at this. They're setting up for the heals. They're not risking anything right now.
This is going to be monumental to overcome. A second place is fantastic. We don't want to cast it as if it's done, but this is going to be tough. Again, Stretch respects these opponents more than I would say almost any other team in NA East. He knows if you go down, you could go down. They managed to take Sap out of this. It is not over yet. This is a 2v2. Sap has fallen. We have Commandment and Edgy going up against Stretch and Avery. Can they do it here? They have the harpoon. They're jumping in. If you let them in your box, they will punish you, but they're blocking them out. They're holding them out. Remember, Stretch is on the high ground. This could be the first kill-off game. They take down another team. They take down another player. If you drop onto low, you will be punished. They are the absolute kings of low. But Stretch on the high ground. He finds the flopper. They've dropped the flopper. This could be enough. He had to go out early. They're holding the heals. Stretch might lose this. I don't know how many meds he has. The spray's coming out. Commandment goes down, but he doesn't get the siphon. This is such an important engagement. And Edgy jumps out to the side. NRG on Liquid. Edgy wins it from the low ground. I said it. They don't need to win the crown. They already have the mantle. They have the title, but they just proved to you as the viewers at home why they are the undisputed low ground kings.
With 13 eliminations too, so in big fashion, better than any other game they've had so far. They just best that performance and put a cherry on top of it. And again, don't forget, first place went down. Reverse UK Mirror Day out of the competition. They lose out. They only earned 5 points that game. So that now equals this excitement with Zeke, Vivid, and Adam here. Tell me what you got, guys.
Oh boy, it's a tournament now, Adam. You were saying a lot of smack, okay? You were talking about Miro, okay, and company. Nope, not today. Commandment, Edgy, and Scented, they're coming in, and 13 eliminations. This is what we've been talking about the entire time. You can get the victory royale, but you have to pair it with eliminations. This is so huge going into the last game. Now, don't forget, we've got another 6 tomorrow, but this will absolutely set the stage and set the tone going into tomorrow's games. And really quickly, might I add, Mega Dubs, Rocane, there it is, I got it. Smack, Niddle, and Casker. Both of these trios did place top 5. So once again, it doesn't always have to equate to victory royales and eliminations.
It's absolutely amazing to watch happen. I mean, if you'd asked me before the game had started, what would be the worst case scenario for Reverse's trio? It would have been 2 of the top trios in the top 4 there. Safs and Commandments going head to head and having that kind of finale is just, I can't really believe it. I mean, what it does for you guys watching at home, for us here on the analyst desk and for the casters too, is it just hypes up just how amazing this finals is and how great tomorrow is going to be as well. I mean, you couldn't ask for better. You couldn't ask for better.
Absolutely. Now, gentlemen, there's a trio that is also performing quite well, that's flying under our radar. Vivid, why don't you talk to us about this trio?
Yeah, so Degen, Azers, and Skittles, probably a lot of people's favorites to actually go ahead and win this FNCS. However, they've kind of been flying under the radar today, but not so much on the leaderboard. You know, they were third after see where they are after that game 5 there. But yeah, I mean, Degen, Azers, and Skittles, they have been doing so well today, just equally as well as Damien Reserves and Commandment and an Edgy, but we just really haven't talked about them. So really solid trio to look out for here. Keep paying attention to how they play, because these guys are definitely something you can like learn from a lot.
Yeah, they really are. I mean, previously when they qualified in week 1, I think the average placement they had was 12th or so in round 4, but you know, that was the 9th highest across the top 10, so not great by any means. What separated them from the rest of the pack was the eliminations. You know, they had almost, I think, at the 6.7 or so eliminations, which is huge. You know, we mentioned it earlier on with Vivid, back-to-back winners of the last 2 Trio Cash Cups. You know, DreamHack Open Duos winners. They're a big team, and this is it. This is our current fight. Okay, all right, guys, things have changed.
I can't believe
what I'm seeing. Commandment centered Edgy go into the lead in first position after game 5, 117 place points, 33 eliminations, 2 victory rounds, 183 points. They currently lead by 9 points over Day, Miro, and the Reverses. I mean, those two are out in front right now by about 30 points or so, but boy, oh boy, is it heating up now, and the pressure is on Day, Miro, and Reverse there. They cannot drop the ball. This is huge, Vivid.
Oh, I love to see it. My prediction is, it's there. Let's go. Finally. Yeah, second page here, Bucky, Kanata, and Mac would kind of hovering around that 12th place slot. Again, we told that storyline earlier. Huge shout out to Felix and Co. here. We talked about him a little bit in the qualifiers. Really consistent player. Can always find himself within like that top half of the leaderboard there. Love to see him up there as well. A trio that I need to see more out of, though, is Furious, Blake, and Illis, because they have a lot of clutch factor and a lot of elim power on that team. We're just not finding them, though.
Yeah, and you know, your team, your chosen team, was spotlighted here as well. Commander, Center, and Edgy there are our current spotlight. They are Limbs versus the top 10, 15 eliminations, which is incredibly impressive. Low ground eliminations, 16. They've set records before their low ground eliminations, and 16 to date alone. Average low ground placement of 10.4. And time with that teammate, only 44 seconds. Consider what you've seen this evening, today, the amount of time spent in game, only 44 seconds away from an opponent. We've been bantering back and forth all season, Vivid and I, about our teams and who we're choosing. The fact that our top 2 chosen ones are going duking it out head to head, you couldn't have asked for better. I'm loving this.
Absolutely. And now you guys understand why they have a feud, but the more important thing at the moment is game number 6. The last chance before we know the final standing is going to tomorrow's games. It is time. We're doing this one last time for NA East today. So Aussie Antics, Monster D-Phase, back over to you, gentlemen.
And there you guys have it. The stage has been set, and now we get to jump into game number 6 here for the day 1 of the NA East finals here. Monster D-Phase, Aussie Antics been calling the action all day long, but Scented, Edgy, and Commandment have been the spotlight trio for good reason. 2 victories already out of the 5 games we've casted over Aussie. And listen, they just did something ridiculous to a team that should not have given that one away. There's not a team that will, you know, you see come into endgame like a Sap, Stretch, and Avery, and then lose that, right? With all the advantage that they had there. It's just not something that vets like that end up doing very often.
And I've got to say it as well, it is down to Centered, Edgy, Command. We like to focus on the positives here on the highlight. We like to focus on the wins, and I don't want to take that away. Stretch, Sap, and Avery, they had everything right. They played it well right to the very end. Stretch went back for the heal off, and it came down to just how good Centered, Edgy, Commandment are. We use this term a lot. I throw it around a lot. They are just different. They are on another level. Their consistency right now is ridiculous. They went down to Surge a single game in 18th place. Other than that, they have a second, first. This is grand finals. This is finals weekend. This is the biggest game, and they managed to get that consistent. That is insane. I would press you to try to do that in even Arena, a Cash Cup, but they're doing it in finals. That is insane. And they get a decent zone again for them. It's on Misty Meadows. They are poised to run away with this. Remember, if you guys don't follow competitive Fortnite at all, they have been the runner-up twice. They have come second in the last 2 FNCSs in a row. They want to take this win. I talked about it at the start of the show. Scented is the hardest worker in the scene, hands down. He deserves this, and I don't think I could find anyone that disagrees with me. But we do have Damir and Reverse on their heels. This is the battle of consistent placement versus eliminations right now.
But you know what? Ozzy, listen, the placements coming out of Damir on Reverse 2K, we put all this highlight onto their elims. I think people just forget that they have a 5th, a 3rd, a 6th, a 4th, and then equally same issue that Commandment, Sense, and Edgy had. One bad Storm Surge game, which was the previous game, rounds out their 16th place. So, all things considering, they are very much on the same exact warpath. High ending games, very solid placement points overall, and literally one game that they both have had just a difficult Surge situation play out for them is what separates them on their, 9 points right now. So, again, Victory Royales, though, highly favoring Commandment, Sense, and Edgy. So that just puts them a cut above the rest on a lot of different levels. But my gosh, talk about close competition just to kick it off here for the first 5 rounds.
It's just the caliber of the teams on NAE. They've really, I say obviously Sense and Edgy Commanders teams on another level. They're all on different levels. There's just a few teams right now that are running away with this. I had them, and again, you guys don't have to blame me at home if you don't want to. I had Sense and Edgy Commandment in my prediction, and I was like, no, I don't want to agree with Vivid again. I want to spice it up. I want to make it exciting for the broadcast. Jack Slacks and Acorn, and now they're there because we talked about it. All of us as casters, analysts said this at the start of the team. We literally all said the same thing. Can I please just pick 5 teams? Because there's so many teams in this region that are just so insane and could do it on the day. And remember, there's day 2 still to go. We've had Jack Slacks and Acorn fall off a little bit. We've had Kanata, Macwood, and Bucky fall off a little bit. DJ and Ages, Skittles are still up there. Saf, Stretch, and Avery. There's other big teams poised to take this. But right now, Day's team and Cented's team are playing so ridiculous that when you highlight one, it naturally makes the other one to fall into the shadow. But they are both playing some of the best Fortnite we have ever seen.
Yeah, like, they're just miles ahead of the competition right now. And again, it's all because of their hard work ethic and the time and investment that they put in here, and they take accountability for their gameplay, right? These are all trios that are just spearheading the competition and honestly just have very, very good attitudes and great outlooks onto how they approach their practice regime and just the way they carry themselves as a whole. So again, it's no surprise to me that they're up at the top, and the team that is right now beating themselves over the head is of course Stretch, Saf, and Avery. We took to social media. You got to see Saf and them talking about it. He said, listen, give us that first moving zone. We'll walk away with the Victory Royale. And unfortunately, they just underestimate
the likes of Scent and Edgy Commandment. It is scary, and they are all insanely good, but they play so well together. I remember we were talking about this last season, or again the season before. Dragon Shotguns in the game. Cented's team ran up the low ground with the Dragon Shotgun, and everyone always asks the same question. Ozzy, Monster, why are they low ground with the Dragon Shotgun with the fire? Why are they not constantly burning? It's because if you hit every single pellet of the Dragon Shotgun, the fire doesn't spread. Cented did that so consistently that fire wasn't an issue for them. That level of aim is almost unmatched. And then again, we've seen Commandment multiple time and time again from that low ground step up and hit the big shots. This time it was Edgy, proving that all 3 of them are just absolute clinics with the shotgun. And that's why when it comes down to those final games, they can still pull off wins from the low ground. Me and Monster have said this before. High ground wins games, low ground wins tournaments. But I'm honestly going to have to change that unless you're Centered, Edgy, Commandment. And then you can win games as well. 2 out of 5 Victory Royales so far and 2 second places. That is ridiculous.
Yeah, they're taking reality, flipping it up on its head here, and definitely proving that they can write their own narrative, their own story. And you know what? They're doing a damn good job at it so far today. For Saf, Stretch, and Avery, though, they have to continue to step it up here because, you know, for them, there's still pressure. It's 3rd place, close on their heels. Mega Dubs, Rokane, a team that was lost in the mix for so long, for many months. You wanted to believe in a team like Mega Dubs and Rokane, but they could not figure it out. They couldn't get the pieces to all fit, and the puzzle was too difficult to solve. But lately, things have really been clicking for them, and now, all of a sudden, they're here. They're in this conversation. Degen, Agers, and Skills as well. Scarily consistent, even tonight. But again, exceptional performances is really what we're looking at. Near perfect performances from our first and second place teams. And how do you beat perfect, right? It's tough. You have to be equally perfect. And for any trio, it's just too hard to do sometimes.
And we also got to kind of spark up that conversation. A lot of people in the community, you know, questioning the new format changes where top 3 from last finals go straight through into this finals. Oh, I want to practice, I want to play the weeks. Scented Edgy Commandment have not played a single game of FNCS until now, and they have come out with, as Monster just said perfectly, pure perfection. Damir and Reverse, they qualified in week 2. So they got to play week 1, and then they won it in week 2, and that's why they're here as well. They came top 3. So both those teams losing out on almost all FNCS this season, or at least half of it, and still showing up with huge performances. The preparation is done, the work is there, and that's why this new format is so exciting. You're rewarded for previous season's performances. It doesn't mean you can't show up big next season. Same thing as well. Look over at EU right now. We have Hen, Janice, and Chapix in second place by 1 point. They came first in last finals. They made it straight through as well. These teams are on another level, and they're being rewarded for that, and they're showing why.
And that's just it, right? Don't chalk it up to excuses or anything of the sorts, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. When you look at your teammate counterparts, when you look at your peers here in the space, man, they don't complain. They take it, and they actually dish out better gameplay than anything that's delivered to them inside game. RNG aside, they don't care. They make it all just come together and work here. Here's that team, though. Here's Dubs, Mega, and Rokane. Now set up inside the bush looking for any types of tags. This is that trio that, again, can all of a sudden now is back inside our conversation, showing us, proving to us, don't forget about them, right? Keep them inside this storyline here, because in a 2-day format, anything can happen. This is another big fight that we've seen unfold multiple times here for this team of Tetro. They have been clashed on this mountain by different trios round after round. At one point, it was Reverse 2K and company. Now it's Dubs and Mega. There's no easy picks here.
We have lost 1 player. Sorry, now 2. Whoa, calm down. NAE, slow it down. You're getting way too aggressive here. We now have 97 players alive. Like, whoa, guys, come on. This is FNCS. It's not arena. You guys need to, like, what is this region? It's game 6. Like, I know there's 12 games. I know you've got time to bring it back, but NA East, you've got to start putting your foot on the gas a little bit. Some of these players need to start taking engagements. They need to get active. They need to start fighting, because we've lost 3 players and second zone is coming in. There's the surge warning. We're going to have to lose 24 players within the next minute 45. Otherwise, it's going to start ticking, and there's no way that happens. NA East is playing as, like you said, Monster, old NA East did best. Real safe, real placement warriors, but they need to start getting active if they want to jump up. There's a reason why Reverse 2K Damir are up there. They're taking those mid-game fights, and they're winning them.
And it's really ironic to me, because the practicing is truly slowing down this season with Zate's departure. But all of a sudden, it's like less practice equals more. Whoa, what's the strat here? I got to take my time, because you don't get to get those repetitions, those repeat performances, and all of a sudden the comfort. And I think we're seeing the result of the lack of practice in some degree, right? So in some form, it's all coming full circle here. We're actually, if anything, seeing a different type of playstyle, because I think players are a little bit more hesitant. You don't really know what the other crew has got up inside their sleeves, what kind of plays they're going to pull out, what kind of pit stops are going to hit here on the road now as they're starting to clash. And now for Miro and company, it seems like they're getting into another fight that's not looking too hot for them. Have we seen everything start to unfold for them?
I think it's also just a kind of addition of the unknown. They don't really know who the teams are around them. They don't know how they rotate. They don't know how they fight or where they move. Where, yeah, when we obviously go back before previous seasons, it has been day after day, hours after hours, grinded in the scrims. They know who's near them. They know where they just don't have that. So you kind of got to be a little bit, more careful as well. I wouldn't say they're playing scared. They're just trying to play safer to feel it out. But when you have the confidence of Day, Miro, and Reverse, I mean, if you've ever watched Day stream or play a tournament, even Miro as well, and now Reverse with that recent kind of, calling out of other players, they don't care who it is. They know they're better, and they will back it up when it comes down to it. But they are 115 below, and we're potentially seeing the same thing that happened last game. They're running into multiple teams. This is not a 3v3. There's multiple teams here, and they could potentially be going down to Surge again. Scented Edgy Commandment could potentially be running away with this unless Miro and Reverse can bring this back.
Well, that first game, they were also down a member too, coming into the same side of the game here, and they did manage to pick it up and pull it off. So don't count them out just yet. Anything can still happen here, as there are still so many trios looking to collapse on top of one another. Reverse 2K peeking out the side here. He doesn't even want to get into the box fight if he doesn't have to, but Miro decides, hey, brother, we got to do this here, and down he goes inside of the box. He's already looking for the shots here. It's the elite trio on the other side of the wall, and still, any big exchange here, one huge opening, and all of a sudden their game is all over. But the surge is already active. One player has to go down, and it seems like he's done just enough here, just enough to go ahead and sneak by. And now Miro's hoping that he can pick up this reboot card, bounce back in this game, and maybe, just maybe, make another end game.
And we actually saw this last FNCS from EU. We had Rezon, Vidil, and Noah Riley, 3 of the scariest players in the world, and they've built up such a reputation for how aggressive they are and how they push teams around their drop at the time of Sweaty that no one was landing near them. No one landed on them, and they couldn't find their Storm Surge. We're seeing a similar story here. Daemir and Reverse have been running through this lobby today. They have so many eliminations. We saw the stat come in. They set a record for most amount of eliminations in the first 4 games. The other teams are aware of that. They're avoiding that, and now they're struggling to find their surge. Their playstyle is going against them. Centered Edgy Commandment changing things up a little bit here. They're going a little bit more center. They've rotated towards the east side. We haven't really seen many east zones here today, so I want to see how this plays out for Commandment, Centered Edgy. Probably the weakest loadout so far we've seen if we're looking at just Commandment here, but they're still 2K's team wounded. They could run away with this.
Yeah, definitely. And honestly, they're not even too far from Reverse 2K and their team, because now they're on their side of the fence here. They've literally migrated to the other side of the zone where they end up playing. So we might just see a clash. We might just see them actually push them out themselves here. It will be their doing. We'll find out shortly. Stay tuned for the next episode. But Jays is going to find a full team wipe there in the feed. Teo Chimp and Tabney go down, and that's Chronic Jays. If you guys haven't checked out Jays, check the young guy out. The kid moved over from console. He was a big integral part of the console community. He still is, and now competing with the best, the likes here on PC, qualifying his way to grand finals. This is what finals is all about, right? Showcasing not only the vets here, but these up-and-coming rising stars that we are going to see time and time again. We're going to see so much more of them as the seasons continue to develop, because now's their shot, right? Now's their time.
And the irony of you saying that as Aspect, one of the ultimate vets, takes on Sprite, one of the big new names on the block. That's what it's all about here in finals. Knifer takes down Scoped, smacked on a Tragics. The big names are going down. This is the final game. This is the mental battle. Who has the mental fortitude to keep pushing through? You've played 5 games before today. It's the 6th of 12. You need a big statement going into tomorrow. You need to build up the confidence. But if your confidence is shot, if you've had a rough day, you need to put that behind you and focus up for one final game. This one will be all wrapped up in about 10 minutes, and this is arguably one of the most important. You need to come into tomorrow hot. You need to make a statement, as Dubs, Mega, and Rokane have been playing good. 151 points. They are playing very well. They need a little bit more. They need a final massive game 6 as this zone pulls towards them, and that SAF goes down. So that's our 3rd place team dropping off the pace just a little bit here, and Dubs, Mega, Rokane are looking to jump on them. I mean, that is 2 absolute veterans running into each other there.
And that's it right there. Look, they're going to pull Stretch down as well, too. They're just going to grab him by the ankles and not let him go. And there it is. He gets captured now, knocked as well. They might get the finish here and the full refresher to pick up the loot. 4th place snatches the 3rd place team, takes out 2 of the pieces of the puzzle there. And can they complete the entire equation? But no, instead they're just going to go and leave him. They're going to leave him behind because they have to prioritize this rotate here. Although they have time on the clock, they don't want to be left behind. They don't want to be caught behind by these other teams. Instead, they're branching out, building this big base. And I'm not sure if this is going to be the greatest play, Ozzy. Just take a look down low. They are starting to run out of materials here for Mega. He lets them get the pickup.
Yeah, the material scares me a little bit here, and getting the pickup there was a bit of an interesting one. They do have, I was going to say they have the harpoon, but Dubs takes it. He gets the bow headshot taken off there. Jack takes a big shot back. This is Jack, Slacks, and Acorn. They're a team. They smell blood in the water. They are pushing forward. Dubs gets the pickup. They are making them pay. You do not let someone like this into your box after they get the knock, and this is not going to go well. Monster, you called it there, showing the experience there on the cast. That was an interesting play. It could have worked out well for them. them, but it definitely does not. And this is a big game here for Jack, Slacks, and Acorn, our ex-FNCS champs. They dropped off the 9th. They need one big game. If they're inside the top 5 going into tomorrow, there is a very good chance they can bring it back. They need to have that huge Game 6 statement because Commandment Centered Edgy, they're up. They're looking healthy. Last time we tuned in, Miro and Reverse were trying to clutch it up for Day, who went down. The teams are still here to play, and you need to have that much bigger of a game to catch up, and this is how you do it. Get in. These are the fights I've been asking to see from this team. They made a name for themselves on early aggressive fights. They've fallen off that a little bit here today, and with the 1200 Storm Surge above on the board, it looks like they found their footing again.
Yeah, most impressively is the 2 Elims because they need these points here to catch up now. Jack, Slacks, and Acorn, your reigning FNCS champions, coming into this as one of the hottest teams. You know, Cash Cup after Cash Cup 2, let's not forget, they have been on a tear. This is honestly, if anything, uncharacteristic for them to be so low. And by low, I mean top 10, ladies and gentlemen. They are still playing out of their minds, quite literally. And now jumping into Dubs and Mega, they're not going to find anything, but it's enough to push them back. And they're just trying to fight for the refresher here. They might just find another one there. And there it is. It is Dubs. Dubs ends up swinging back around. The full finish, this shakedown 2. Jack says, get him out of here. We don't even need that. We know he's going to come on through, and he was right. The call was correct. Jack's instincts was enough. He realized, hey, the zone's coming. We got to go, guys.
Oh, and Miro goes down here. It's just Reverse trying to solo clutch now. This is your 2nd place team. Remember, 3rd is out. 4th is out. We have seen Sap and Mega's team 4th. If Reverse goes down here, that is 2nd, 3rd, and 4th out of this game. Centered Edgy Commandment could run away with it, but Reverse, he put a target on his back, and now everyone in the lobby is looking for him. He is a solo on 64 health with no shield. If he can somehow make this rotate, he's in it with a chance. There's the vehicle. He chooses not to use it, but this would be a big change of Game 6 right now. Centered Edgy Commandment are by far in the healthiest position, and this is huge for other teams like DGen Ages Skittles, like Jack, Slacks, and Acorn that are looking to jump up on the teams around them as Centered gets an elimination onto Nut. Reverse is making this rotate. He has made it in, but he's down to only Wood Monster. He has 13 wood builds left. That's the soft mats. Oh, and Centered is down. Centered is down here. Commandment and Edgy are over the top of him, trying to hold this off. This is massive. Jamper, Threats, and Rise, they're opening this one up. It's just Commandment. 2nd is a solo. 1st is a solo. 3rd is down. 4th is down. Game 6, NA East. Everything is changing here.
And now for every team that falls here, these solo players are literally stealing away points here. They're playing with house money now. There's nothing but risky bets here on the table for all these players involved. For Commandment, though, it's a little bit better than Reverse's situation. He has and Commandment is one of the most clutch shotgun shots. He has one of the most clutch shotgun shots this scene has ever seen. Let's watch him play it out now. He is deciding where exactly it is that he wants to go. Reverse 2K is going to find Sizz Lucky in the feed, though. He's not done, and that pushes him up to another placement point there, too. Who's this on the other side of the wall? Commandment doesn't care. He's got to get the move on here. Aussie, we're watching 2 teams go head-to-head right now for who's going to walk away with this first place spot, who's going to be able to hold it on. My bets are on Commandment right now for easy pickings and easy reasons right now because he has the advantage. But is it going to be enough here?
But depending on how this goes, if 3 players don't go down in the next 21 seconds, he is below the surge. 2 players go down. I think it might happen. Smack's in the feed, Age's in the feed. The big teams that need to have big jump ups are still going, but Commandment and Reverse 2K are still surging forward. I believe Reverse is somehow still alive in this one. Can Commandment show you what Monster just perfectly coined? He has some of the most clinical shotgun aim. Can he put it to use, or is he going to go down to all the different pressure he has on him? He's going to play the medkit. This is a very smart play. He'll stay in Storm, play the medkit, and then let players rotate in ahead of him. I believe he's gotten this off. Commandment does not miss these. Reverse goes down. So Commandment has outplaced Reverse. That means I believe they're holding on to their first place. There are only 1 elimination difference. Commandment goes down. That is going to leave the leaderboard so close. We have 9 teams alive, but 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th are out, and 5th, Ken Ages, Skittles, and DGen have a huge surge forward going into day 2, as well as Jack, Acorn, and Slacks down below.
And I also saw Macwood there too, or Bucky still in the feed as well. So finally, they make an end game as well. All of a sudden, the other veterans, the other people that we were painting into this storyline as teams to walk away with this are starting to show up. And it's not too late because this is only the last game of day one and there is more ahead of us tomorrow. So continue to watch these teams pop off here. As again, for DJ, Ages, and Skittles, they were in 5th place. They're the last other highest placing team that can actually do something big with this position they've been granted. Macwood coming together here. Illis is pinched between the two. Can Macwood hit the shots? We'll find out here. As no, Macwood loses the exchange, and of course, Illis is just that good, but Kanata follows up with an even bigger one. And now Kanata secures them to a top 3 here. Goku a solo, Kanata a solo, and then your high ground team, Agers, Degens, and Skittles in the running right now for the Victory Royale.
Can Kanata survive this? Can he try to get around the outside? Kanata's looking like he might find Goku. There it is. He gets the 2nd place. It would be monumental effort to take out the Victory Royale here. And no, Ages, Degen, Skittles, they descend onto Kanata. They get the 9 elimination Victory Royale. They were your 5th place team. And 1st through to 4th fell very, very early. That is a huge surge up for them, showing that no matter how far anyone is ahead in NA East, we were just talking about at the start of that round, it is so close. There are so many big teams. Royale, and this leaderboard is definitely not over, but what a day one monster. I mean, it literally had everything we've talked about in the weeks coming up to this.
Yeah, and every single team that we expected to make it there has done just that as well, and a little bit more. Honestly, records being broken here for FNCS final stage. You couldn't ask for anything better. NA East, you guys have not failed to disappoint. You know, y'all just make the job so easy with how good you all have been. And honestly, even for DJ, Ages, and Skittles there, congrats on taking the last victory of the day. That's going to be facing Aussie Antics. We thank you guys for tuning in, but there's more action in front of us. There's more content here to be held. So let's toss it over to the desk now.
My goodness, a fantastic close to NAE. 6 games complete right then and there. I mean, look, Vivid, it's crazy. You were like, hey, you know, after game 5, you know who we should talk about? I don't know, sounds like the trio that just won this last